Delhi, IISc Bangalore, IIT Bombay, IIM Ahmedabad, IIT Kharagpur and Amity University.
इसको घर पे लगाओगे तो शादी का तो पता नहीं, पर घर पक्का नहीं टूटेगा।
रुंगटा नहीं तो घर स्ट्रॉन्ग नहीं। रुंगटा स्टील TMT बार एकदम सॉलिड।
पहाड़ों में एक हाइकिंग स्टिक भी बन सकती है।
ये है सीक्रेट रेसिपी MDH का जीरा सिप जल जीरा मसाला।
सिप सिप जीरा सिप MDH का जल जीरा सिप MDH का जल जीरा सिप।
لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله southwest coming from the direction of Al-Udaid. Windows are shaking. La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. Probably Patriot. Allahu Akbar. Madam. La ilaha illallah.
Hours after ceasefire violation in the Middle East, Netanyahu announces that Israel has accepted a truce deal in its conflict with Iran. Donald Trump makes claim of ceasefire between Israel and Iran, pleads both nations to not violate. Siren sound in North Israel as Iran continues launching missiles in violation of the ceasefire. Explosions heard at Taji military base in Iraq's Baghdad. No casualties reported. $10 crore legal notice against Air India after a passenger claims grievous injuries during travel. After 7 delays, NASA and SpaceX announced June 25th as the new date for the Axiom 4 mission.
Hello and welcome. You're watching Republic TV with me, Akanksha Khajure. In fact, we have a breaking news coming in after Israel said that Iran has violated the ceasefire. We have, in fact, breaking news coming in that is Iran's Supreme National Security Council will be issuing a statement on ceasefire very soon. Just a while back, Israeli Defense Forces had said that ceasefire has totally collapsed amid the escalating tensions and confirmed that they have detected missiles coming in from Iran. Ever since ceasefire has been announced by Donald Trump, we have been seeing attacks by Iran in Beersheba, where a residential building that you can see on the screen was attacked earlier today. After that, just a while back, IDF, that is Israeli Defense Forces, have said that they have detected missiles coming towards Israel once again, which is a clear violation of the ceasefire. And just in some time, what we're learning is that Iran's Supreme National Security Council will be issuing a statement on the ceasefire. So confusion remains as to whether there's a ceasefire or not. But just a while back, in fact, Donald Trump had announced on social media that ceasefire is in effect. Please do not violate it, is what he had mentioned. But it remains to be seen how well that will reflect on the ground as far as Israel and Iran is concerned. Well, we are just waiting that statement from Iran's Supreme National Security Council on the ceasefire. Donald Trump, remember earlier today, after Iran attacked the US air base in Qatar, Donald Trump had announced a ceasefire. After that, still few minutes later, we saw Iran's attack on Beersheba area of Israel. The pictures of that you can see on the screen. Buildings there, residential area, completely damaged in that big attack. 4 people have lost their lives just a while back. In fact, Prime Minister of Israel had announced that they have accepted the ceasefire and the objective of Operation Rising Lion has been achieved. But now the news that we are getting for you is that now IDF, that is Israel Defense Forces, have said that they have detected more missiles coming in from Iran, and this is in complete violation of the ceasefire. In fact, let me go across to my colleague Vinay Naidu, who joins us from Doha. In fact, last night we saw the attack in Doha as far as the US air base is concerned. After that ceasefire was announced, Iran attacked Israel. Then ceasefire was announced by both the countries. Then now again, Israel is saying that the ceasefire is violated because they have detected the missiles coming in from Iran. So much confusion there as far as this ceasefire is concerned. What are you learning?
Oh, flurry of activity all around, and especially over Doha and Qatar yesterday evening, as we all know. But now the ceasefire is in effect. Though Iran has attacked in southern Israel, but it has come close to the deadline time, which was about 4 a.m. GMT. So, as USA President Donald Trump has already tweeted that he has requested both the parties to respect the ceasefire and respect the deadline. So, that's about it. But now, just now, we are all waiting for the press conference of the Prime Minister of Qatar and the Foreign Minister to brief the media. Press conference is scheduled here in Doha. Just now, it's scheduled to begin any time now.
Absolutely. So all eyes will be on that press conference as well. Let me get another breaking news that we are getting in. Stay on with us. The IDF spokesperson has updated that launches from Iran were detected. The ceasefire, as we told you, has collapsed. Follow the instruction of the Home Front Command is the instruction that has come from IDF. So Israel it appears, is anticipating another attack that could come in from Iran, as they say that they have detected more launches, more missiles coming in towards their territory. Let me once again bring in Vinay Naidu. Vinay, you just a while back, you just told us that there's a press conference slated in Doha as well. Tell us what the situation on the ground is, because as far as Israel and Iran are concerned, there's a lot of confusion there, whether there is ceasefire, whether there isn't. But tell us what is happening there in Doha.
See, Qatar has mediated on behalf of both the parties after the missiles were launched in retaliation to the attacks on Iran. So Iran said it wanted to attack the airbase of the US military here in Qatar, the Al Udeid airbase. So they fired 19 missiles exactly So out of the 19 missiles, 18 were intercepted. One came down, but there were no casualties or injuries. And the number 19 corresponds, according to them, the number of bombs hit on the 3 nuclear sites in Iran. So that was about it. And then came the closure that this is the end of the war. And Trump later tweeted saying that there has been a ceasefire deal between Israel and Iran. But as we see things unfolding, there are reports that Israel has accepted the ceasefire. Iran has said that unless if they don't fire, then we will not fire. So as of now, the situation remains still grim because we don't know. There's a 12-hour window now, starting from 4 a.m. GMT today morning, for Israel not to attack Iran. Okay, so this may be the closure that Iran wants to, hit back, saying that okay, you had attacked, so we are getting back to you now, and that this is the end of it. Starting now, then there will be another 8 to 9 hours from now. If Israel does not attack Iran, then it would mean that Israel is following the ceasefire directions. So that's the situation for now.
Absolutely. In fact, Vinay, stay on with us. We have breaking news coming in from Qatar. It has sent a letter to UN Secretary General on Iran's attack on Al Udeid Air Base yesterday night. In the letter addressed, Qatar has informed the members of the Security Council and the Secretary General of an extremely dangerous escalation that represents a blatant violation of the territorial integrity of the state of Qatar, posing a direct threat to the regional peace and security. So this is a letter that has been sent by Qatar to UN Secretary General after Iran's attack on one of the USA air bases there last night. Vinay, as far as this letter is concerned, do tell us more about this, because yesterday Qatar also said that they were one of the first few countries to speak about the escalation as far as Israel is concerned. They are the ally of Iran, but despite that, we saw that Iran attacked the airbase there. They are saying that this is a great threat to the regional peace and security. Tell us about this letter.
See, Qatar is not an ally of Iran. Qatar maintains that they have neighborly relations with Iran. And Qatar was very clear that the sovereignty of Qatar was attacked when the Al Udeid air base was attacked. But remember, before Iran launched the attack towards Doha and towards Al Udeid air base, they informed the Qatar authorities 1 hour in advance that they're going to hit Qatar. And this was because they were very clear that we are entering the Qatar soil, Qatar territory, and hence we need to inform Qatar and also the US authorities that they are going to hit Qatar. So Qatar was in the knowledge that there would be a missile attack on Qatar sometime towards evening, and that happened. And then later Qatar said, but still we reserve the right to respond. Qatar is not saying that it is going to hit back, but it said it reserves the right to respond. So the line is very clear. And after that, soon Qatar itself mediated on behalf of both the parties. And since Qatar has some very good relationship with Iran and other nations, and also it's a soft power, Qatar is known for its diplomacy. And over the years, Qatar has, the Hamas is based here. There are n number of other entities, even in Afghanistan, Qatar mediated. And so Qatar continues to play its good role of being a very good diplomatic leader. And that is the soft power Qatar enjoys, though it's a very small country, and it played its part. But now as things are unfolding, we need to wait and see what the Prime Minister Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdul Rahman Al Thani, who's also the foreign minister, has to say in the upcoming press conference here in Qatar, so that we come to know more.
Absolutely. But after the escalation last night, now Qatar has sought intervention of the United Nations. Thank you so much, Vinay Naidu, for all the details. We'll keep coming back to you for more on this. Let's get you more details on this conflict. What we're learning is that Japan has now welcomed Trump's claim of ceasefire between Iran and Israel. Chief Cabinet Secretary has said that we welcome President Trump's ceasefire announcement and strongly hope it to be implemented. He also reiterated Tokyo's position on the issue of West Asia escalation. He went on to say that peace and stability in the Middle East region is extremely important for Japan as well. We will continue working with the international community, is what he said, engaging in any diplomatic efforts necessary. This is a big statement that has come from Japan. They have welcomed Trump's claim of ceasefire between Iran and Israel. But on the other hand, we are seeing, in fact, that Israel has said that ceasefire has been violated.
このような観点から今般のトランプ大統領の停戦の発表を歓迎しており、これが実施に移されていくことを強く期待をいたします。中東地域の平和と安定は我が国にとっても極めて重要であり、国際社会とも連携して我が国として必要なあらゆる外交的努力を引き続き行ってまいります。
With this, we're taking a very short break. Coming up on the other side, explosions also heard at Taji military base in Iraq's Baghdad. No casualty has been reported so far. 10 crore legal notice against Air India after a passenger claims grievous injuries during travel. We'll tell you about two of these stories after this very short break. Keep watching Republic TV.
Seen what it takes to report from the front lines. Accuracy, urgency, courage and responsibility. At Republic School of Journalism, you will be trained for that reality. It's not theory, it's live learning inside a working newsroom from day one. If you want to report the truth when it matters the most, RSJ is where you begin. Courses begin on June 30th. Apply now.
विमल में गुलिस्तां के ये कुछ लजीज फरिश्ते जब साथ गुलें तो जी ललचाए और दिल कहे कि स्वाद की जुबान में खुद को ऐसे डुबाऊं कि निकल ना पाऊं। विमल की जुबान कुछ है ही ऐसी, मानते हैं? विमल, बोलो जुबान कैसी?
MDH की देगी मिर्च,
देगी मिर्च का तड़का, अंग अंग फड़का।
MDH की देगी मिर्च।
Excellencies, 2 days ago, in this very chamber, I made a direct appeal. Give peace a chance. That call was not heeded. Instead, the bombing of Iranian nuclear facilities by the United States marks a perilous turn in a region that is already reeling. From the outset of the crisis, I have repeatedly condemned any military escalation in the Middle East. The people of the region cannot endure another cycle of destruction. And yet, we now risk descending into a rat hole of retaliation after retaliation. To avoid it, diplomacy must prevail. Civilians must be protected. Safe maritime navigation must be guaranteed. The Non-Proliferation Treaty is a cornerstone of international peace and security. Iran must fully respect it. And all member states must act in accordance with their obligations under the UN Charter and other rules of international law, including international humanitarian law.
For 40 years, the Iranian government has called for death to America and death to Israel, and posed a constant menace to the peace and security of its neighbors, the United States, and the entire world. U.S. military strikes targeted nuclear facilities in Fordo, Natanz, and Isfahan, with the aim of dismantling Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity and stopping the nuclear threat posed by the world's foremost.
Welcome back. Now, Operation Sindu has been bringing back Indians stranded in the Middle East on a war footing. The latest Indian Air Force C-17 flight with 165 Indians landed in the national capital today. Here's more. Operation Sindu has come as a major relief for all the Indians stranded in the conflict zone. Tuesday morning, an Indian Air Force C-17 aircraft carrying 165 Indians from Israel landed in Delhi's Palam Airport. The flight landed at 8:45 a.m. after they were evacuated from Jordan. The passengers were welcomed at the airport by Union Minister L. Murugan and other Indian Air Force officers.
Today, the second aircraft from Israel came here. Almost 165 passengers are landed here. We welcome to them, and these 165 passengers from various 22 states, they are all students and various work they are doing. Our government's priority, our Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi's priority is to that wherever the war situation is there, or our Indians and our Indian diaspora people are struck to evacuate. Our priority, our Prime Minister's priority to evacuate them to safely to our nation.
Speaking to the media, the Indian nationals who were brought back thanked the central government for ensuring their safety during such uncertain times.
ऑल ओवर इसराइल में तो उतनी अच्छी नहीं थी बिकॉज हम देख रहे थे, बट एट माई प्लेस इट वॉज मच सेफर. वहाँ पे सायरन्स सुनने को मिले थे, बट जो भी था वो इंटरसेप्शन हो रहा था.
Some of the passengers also expressed happiness over their evacuation experience. The conflict between Israel and Iran began on June 13th when the former launched a massive airstrike on Iranian military and the nuclear sites, codenamed as Operation Rising Lion.
It's just my connection with the world is entirely, purely with the sound only. Because through sound, I can't manipulate. I only communicate through sound, through music. You see, I was never good in my school. I was not good in mathematics. But in my music, I was using mathematics. All that, this is all mathematics. So I could do that. So we create castles in the air. You see, you can't see music, you can't see rhythm, like you can't see God. So it's a precious gift of God.
आपकी फेवरेट हुंडई कार्स पर मिल रही है अमेजिंग डील्स. वैसे लोगे तो आप हुंडई ही, चाहे दिल की सुनो या डील्स की, तो जल्दी चले आओ हुंडई शोरूम.
MDH की हल्दी मिर्ची धनिया करे कमाल. ये रंग दे, ये खुशबू दे, ये तीखा, ये कम पड़े. क्या निराला MDH मसाला.
Excellencies, 2 days ago, in this very chamber, I made a direct appeal, give peace a chance. That call was not heeded. Instead, the bombing of Iranian nuclear facilities by the United States marks a perilous turn in a region that is already reeling. From the outset of the crisis, I have repeatedly condemned any military escalation in the Middle East. The people of the region cannot endure another cycle of destruction. And yet, we now risk descending into a rat hole of retaliation after retaliation. To avoid it, diplomacy must prevail, civilians must be protected, safe maritime navigation must be guaranteed. The Non-Proliferation Treaty is a cornerstone of international peace and security. Iran must fully respect it. And all member states must act in accordance with their obligations under the UN Charter and other rules of international law, including international humanitarian law.
For 40 years, the Iranian government has called for death to America and death to Israel, and posed a constant menace to the peace and security of its neighbors, the United States, and the entire world. U.S. military strikes targeted nuclear facilities in Fordo, Natanz, and Isfahan, with the aim of dismantling Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity and stopping the nuclear threat posed by the world's foremost state sponsor of terror. This operation sought to eliminate a long-standing but rapidly escalating source of global insecurity and to aid our ally Israel in our inherent right of collective self-defense, consistent with the UN Charter.
اطلعوا على السطوح ورا مليان ورا مليان
安理会对维护国际和平与安全负有首要责任，面对重大危机不能无所作为。俄罗斯。
Welcome back. Now we have more breaking news coming in. As far as the conflict in Israel and Iran is concerned, what we're learning is that Qatar has summoned the Iranian ambassador condemning the missile attack. This is breaking news that we're getting for you. Qatar has summoned the Iranian ambassador on Tuesday after Iran attacked the major US military base on the Qatari soil following American strikes on the nuclear facilities. The foreign ministry has expressed the strong condemnation of the attack and repeated that it retains the right to respond to the violations. So this is a statement as far as Qatar is concerned. They have summoned the Iranian ambassador. With this, we're taking a very short break. We'll be right after with more details as far as the conflict is concerned. Keep watching Republic TV.
I have seen what it takes to report from the front lines: accuracy, courage, urgency, and responsibility. At Republic School of Journalism, you will be trained for that reality. It's not theory, it's live learning from a working newsroom from day one. If you want to report the truth when it matters the most, Republic School of Journalism is where you begin. Courses begin on 30th June. Apply now.
विमल में गुलिस्तां की ये कुछ लजीज फरिश्ते जब साथ गुले तो जी ललचाए और दिल कहे कि स्वाद की जुबान में खुद को ऐसा डुबाऊं कि निकल ना पाऊं। विमल की जुबान कुछ है ही ऐसी, मानते हैं ना? विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
ये है सीक्रेट रेसिपी MDH का जीरा सिप जल जीरा मसाला।
सिप सिप जीरा सिप MDH का जल जीरा सिप MDH का जल जीरा सिप।
لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله Southwest coming from the direction of Al-Udaid. Windows are shaking. La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. Probably Patriot.
Allahu Akbar. Madam.
لا إله إلا الله. Southwest, coming from the direction of Al-Udaid. Windows are shaking. La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. Probably Patriot.
Allahu Akbar. Madam.
विमल में गुलिस्तां के ये कुछ लजीज फरिश्ते जब साथ गुलें तो जी ललचाए और दिल कहे कि स्वाद की जुबां में खुद को ऐसे डुबाऊं कि निकल ना पाऊं। विमल की जुबां कुछ है ही ऐसी, मानते हैं? विमल, बोलो जुबां कैसी?
दादी के हाथों का जादू और खुशबू से महकता घर, माँ की मुस्कुराहट और खाने की सुगंध। MDH गरम।
From Asia's largest news headquarters, setting the agenda for Bharat. You're watching Republic.
Hello and welcome. You're watching Republic TV with me, Akanksha Khajuria. Donald Trump had said that there is a ceasefire, but just a while back, Israeli Defense Forces have said that the ceasefire has been violated. We'll give you more details on this, but first, as always, the headlines. Ceasefire deal in the Middle East collapses. Sirens sounded across northern Israel. Iran launches fresh missile attacks. Global embarrassment for Trump as truce deal between Israel and Iran falls flat after Trump claims to successfully mediate. Israel Defense Forces claim strikes in southern Israel. Massive destruction in Beersheba. 4 have been killed. Explosions heard in Taji military base in Iraq's Baghdad. No casualty has been reported so far. 10 crore legal notice against Air India after passenger claims grievous injuries during travel. And after 7 delays, NASA and SpaceX announces June 25th, that is tomorrow, as the new date for Axiom 4 mission liftoff. Let's give you details as far as the conflict in Israel and Iran are in fact concerned. Remember, yesterday there were attacks on the US military bases in Qatar. Qatar has now summoned the Iranian ambassador to condemn the missile attack. This also comes as Qatar has formally addressed the United Nations, sending a letter to Secretary General and the President of the Security Council regarding a missile attack by Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps on the Al Udeid air base yesterday. In the letter, Qatar has condemned the attack as a dangerous escalation and a violation of the territorial integrity, posing a direct threat to regional peace and security. The missiles were intercepted successfully by the air defenses there, but now it is requested the matter to be circulated among the Security Council members and issued a official, in fact, document on the same. So this is as far as Qatar is concerned. Yesterday, remember, there were attacks on the US military bases there, and after that, they had very clearly mentioned that they have all the right to respond back. They're not taking this very lightly. They have issued summon to the Iranian ambassador and has also written to the United Nations for an action as far as these attacks are concerned. And moving on, we have a statement that has come from Israeli Defense Minister. He has instructed the IDF to intensify the strikes against Iran after the ceasefire violation. The minister has said, and I quote, "In the light of the absolute violation of the ceasefire declared by the US President by Iran and the launching of missiles towards Israel, and in accordance with the Israeli government's policy to respond forcefully to any violation, I instructed the IDF in coordination with the Prime Minister to continue the intense strike activity in Tehran to neutralize the regime targets and the terrorist infrastructure in Tehran." This is the statement that has come from Israeli Defense Minister. All this after Iran, remember, earlier today attacked the Beersheba area of Israel, where a building, in fact, several buildings there were damaged. 4 people have lost their life. Now, Israel is saying that they will respond back and they will respond powerfully. And he has said that I have instructed the Israeli Defense Forces in coordination with the Prime Minister to continue the intense strike activity in Iran to neutralize the regime targets and the infrastructure there as well. In fact, on your screens, you can see these are the fresh visuals that are coming in from Tel Aviv. Sirens have sounded off there. There you can see that Israel there is anticipating attacks by Iran. In fact, just a while back, IDF had said that they have detected missiles coming in from Iran to Israel. And these are the visuals that we are getting for you from the ground. That is Tel Aviv area of Israel, where the fresh Iranian strikes are in fact underway. Sirens have been sounded after clearly the ceasefire has completely collapsed. So as you can see in the visuals, you can hear these sirens being sounded there, and this is clearly a violation of the ceasefire. Remember earlier, Donald Trump had said that there's a ceasefire. Iran after that attacked the Beersheba area of Israel. Israel after that said that they have accepted the ceasefire, but just a while back they said that they have detected missiles coming in from Iran and said that ceasefire has completely collapsed, and they will be in fact hitting back, and there will be intense strike activity in Tehran as well. So Iran in fact is also on alert mode because Israel will be hitting back. Let me go across to Ariella Rosenthal, who's live from Ashdod in Israel. Thank you so much for speaking to Republic TV. Now we are learning that again there in fact missiles have been detected over Israel. Once again, clear violation of the ceasefire. Would you agree?
Well, of course, I'm not surprised. We were dealing here with a theme, an ideology, and a history that with the Iranian and Iran itself. So I'm not surprised at all. They always try to be and of course on something, but their actions say something else. Over 24 hours that suddenly they will want to be a threat and continue the hostility towards the citizens of the Strait of Israel, targeting direct citizens, mosques, people in the north of Israel, side by side, the Muslim community and the Arab, and everybody's tolerantly one another. And once again, they're trying to demonstrate that they not want Israel to be existent. So I'm not supportive.
Absolutely. You are live with us from Ashdod, which is around 80 kilometers away from Beersheba. Let me, in fact, give more details as far as the attacks there are concerned. Please stay on with us. What we are learning is that at least 5 people lost their life in Israel's Beersheba after Iranian ballistic missiles hit an apartment on Tuesday. In fact, we'll be showing you those visuals of the destruction. Several others were also reported to be injured in the missile attack. Sirens were sounded in Israel due to missile launch from Iran. The IDF also confirmed that Iran has launched 3 missiles within 1 hour on Tuesday morning. The Iranians' attack come after United States announced a ceasefire with Iran. Trump claimed that Israel and Iran had agreed to a complete and a total ceasefire soon after Iran launched a limited missile attack Monday on the military base in Qatar. So these are the visuals that you can see on the screen. This is from Beersheba, which is in Israel. Earlier today, there were a missile attack on this very location. You can see on the visual how this complete destruction buildings have totally been destroyed. There, 4 people have lost their lives. Several, we are learning, have received injuries as well. Very concerning visuals coming in from Israel. So these are the visuals of the rescue operation there in Beersheba, where the residential buildings have taken a hit. You can see that the rescue operation is currently also underway. Several people have been brought out. 4 people have lost their lives. Several others have received injuries. And this is quite concerning because this comes after Donald Trump announced the ceasefire between the 2 nations. Iran, after that, launched this big attack on this area of Israel. In fact, we have a statement coming in from the Chief of General Staff, who has confirmed that in response to the ceasefire violation, the IDF will respond with full force. They have said that there will be intense strike activity in Tehran as well. So the situation is not normal. Once again, ceasefire has completely collapsed as far as the 2 nations are concerned. Let me once again bring in Ariella. As I was saying that the location I was talking about, Beersheba, is hardly 80 kilometers from where you are. We are seeing massive destruction there. 4 people have lost their life and ceasefire has completely collapsed. What do you think went wrong? Because Donald Trump earlier today, he said that there is a ceasefire. Just a while back, again, he said that please follow the ceasefire. He instructed both the nations. Then what do you think went wrong between the 2 nations? And why is this happening once again?
Well, Israel agreed to the ceasefire by the Turkey and was well supposed to go according to what was agreed. But we woke up a couple of hours after the announcement with missiles, ballistic missiles launched from Iran on the state of Israel. Once again, throughout major cities in Israel, if it's in the north, if it's in the south, and this is our reality. I don't think that any country in the world would accept ballistic missiles being targeted on civilians in their country. Of course, not in India, not in the US. So, of course, Israel will not accept such a situation, and we will stand fit and strong in the Home Front Command. So my government will, of course, deal with the head of the snake once and for all. And I think for everybody, once this regime will be eliminated there will be a more Middle East that will be stable. And of course, the whole world will have a better future.
Absolutely, and remains to be seen how it pans out, but this is a clear violation of the ceasefire, as was in fact brokered by US President Donald Trump. In fact, we have more breaking news coming in. I request you to stay on with us. This is as far as Iran is concerned. They have said they have denied claims of a ceasefire violation and have said that the news of fresh missile launched towards Israel is completely false. This is a statement that has come from Iran. They have said that the fresh missile attacks and the news of it is completely false, Ariala. But on the other hand, we are seeing that sirens are sounding in Tel Aviv. There has been destruction in Beersheba. On the other hand, now Iran is coming out and denying this. They're denying the sirens that are going on. They are denying the damage to the building, loss of 4 lives. They're saying that all of this is false.
Well, this is the merely rhetoric for years of this terrorist regime. I don't know what to expect of the regime, the lies, the continued strategic plan to eliminate the state of Israel, the Jewish people. We have dealt with ideology, this ideology of terrorism for so many decades. And of course, if it's not directly from Iran, then it's directly by the Hamas, by the Houthis, by the Hezbollah. Look what's going on in Gaza, 20 kilometers from my city. So I'm asking the world, open your eyes. Until when? Terror is terror. And it's about time that the Western world and the world will understand that Iran will not continue as before. And it's about time also that I turn to the Iranian people. This is the future that you want for your people. Please open your eyes. They've been brainwashed for so many years by this regime. So I'm not, I don't cry anymore. It's just, I pity the situation. The state of Israel is in the Middle East, and but Israel will stand and first, and we will finish the regime, I think, for the consistence of the state of Israel.
Absolutely. And one more question before I let you go, and this is the breaking news that we are getting for you. Iran has also said that Israel has to accept the defeat and stop the aggression. This is what Iran has said, that Israel will now have to unilaterally accept the defeat and stop the aggression as far as this conflict is concerned. So, Ariala, how do you see this statement that has come in? Do you think Israel, your country, will be accepting the defeat? Because just a while back, it was said that all the target under Operation Rising Lion have been achieved. And this is a big success for Israel as well, because they have destroyed the nuclear facilities. And that was the main focus of both Israel and the United States. But now Iran saying that Israel will have to accept the defeat and stop the aggression. How do you see this statement coming in from Iran?
Israel has, of course, accepted to the ceasefire because Israel's immediate existential threat of the nuclear and ballistic missiles. Yesterday, also, they took army symbols of the regime. But I'm asking once again, what will happen with Iran when it continues to launch on the state of Israel, on citizens, and deliberately kill the people of Israel and the Jewish people? If somebody thinks that Israel will sit aside and let them try to continue devastating the country and my state, then they are wrong. My country will not allow this situation to continue. So I am sure that in the near future, there will be a change in what was maybe not the objective of the operation. But I think this is my personal, of course, perspective, that Israel needs to eliminate immediately the head of the regime, and sooner will be better for stability in the Middle East.
Well, absolutely. It remains to be seen whether there will be a regime change in Iran or not. But thank you so much for putting things and this entire conflict as far as Iran and Israel in perspective. Now, let's tell you more about this conflict. Iran has launched a missile operation targeting U.S. military bases in Qatar and Iraq in retaliation to United strikes on the nuclear facilities. This merely hours before Donald Trump announced the success of the so-called ceasefire deal. Here's more.
La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. Southwest, coming from the direction of Al-Udaid. Windows are shaking. لا إله إلا الله. لا إله إلا الله. Probably patriot.
الله أكبر. مدام مدام.
لا إله إلا الله. لا إله إلا الله. Southwest, coming from the direction of Al-Udaid. Windows are shaking. لا إله إلا الله. لا إله إلا الله. Probably patriot.
الله أكبر. مدام مدام.
And with this, we're taking a very short break. Coming up on the other side, global embarrassment for Donald Trump as truce deal between Israel and Iran falls apart after he claimed to successfully mediate. Israel Defense Forces claim strikes in southern Israel, massive destruction seen in Beersheba. 4 people have lost their life. This and much more on the other side. Stay with us.
لا إله إلا الله. لا إله إلا الله. Southwest, coming from the direction of Al-Udaid. Windows are shaking. لا إله إلا الله. لا إله إلا الله. Probably patriot.
الله أكبر. مدام مدام.
لا إله إلا الله. لا إله إلا الله. Southwest, coming from the direction of Al-Udaid. Windows are shaking. لا إله إلا الله. لا إله إلا الله. Probably patriot.
الله أكبر. مدام مدام.
Excellencies, 2 days ago, in this very chamber, I made a direct appeal: give peace a chance. That call was not heeded. Instead, the bombing of Iranian nuclear facilities by the United States marks a perilous turn in a region that is already reeling. From the outset of the crisis, I have repeatedly condemned any military escalation in the Middle East. The people of the region cannot endure another cycle of destruction. And yet, we now risk descending into a rat hole of retaliation after retaliation. To avoid it, diplomacy must prevail. Civilians must be protected. Safe maritime navigation must be guaranteed. The Non-Proliferation Treaty is a cornerstone of international peace and security. Iran must fully respect it. And all member states must act in accordance with their obligations under the UN Charter and other rules of international law, including international humanitarian law.
For 40 years, the Iranian government has called for death to America and death to Israel, and posed a constant menace to the peace and security of its neighbors, the United States, and the entire world. U.S. military strikes targeted nuclear facilities in Fordo, Natanz, and Isfahan, with the aim of dismantling Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity and stopping the nuclear threat posed by the world's foremost state sponsor of terror. This operation sought to eliminate a long-standing but rapidly escalating source of global insecurity and to aid our ally Israel in our inherent right of collective self-defense, consistent with the UN Charter.
In a major police encounter at Delhi, Haryana border, in fact, what we're learning is that the most wanted gangster, Romil Vora, has been shot dead earlier today. He was wanted in several cases, including murder cases as well. Here's more.
An encounter was successfully carried out by the Haryana police and the Delhi Special Cell, leading to the killing of a most wanted gangster. Acting on a tip-off, the joint police team cordoned off an area near the Delhi-Haryana border. As they closed in, accused Vora reportedly opened fire, and the police fired back. He was critically injured in the exchange and later died at the hospital. 2 officers also sustained injuries during the gunfight. 22-year-old Romil Vora was one of the members of the Kala Rana Noni Rana gang. He was the main accused in at least 4 murders, including a recent killing in Yamunanagar in Haryana. He had a 2 lakh rupees bounty on his head and was linked to a 2024 triple murder, facing charges of extortion, armed robbery and more across the state.
ये मंडी गांव का ये पूरा जंगल का एरिया है जहाँ पे जब मुठभेड़ होती है, जब पुलिस को ये इन्फॉर्मेशन मिलती है, जब हरियाणा एसटीएफ की बात करें या दिल्ली पुलिस की स्पेशल सेल जो इंटेलिजेंस टीम है, जब उनको जानकारी मिलती है कि इस इलाकों में, इन्हीं इलाकों में रोमिल वोहरा की मौजूदगी है और उनकी तरफ से जब सर्च ऑपरेशन चलाया जाता है तो इन जंगलों में वो छुपने की ज़रूर कोशिश करता है, लेकिन सारी कोशिशें उसकी नाकाम हो जाती है और मुठभेड़ के दौरान रोमिल वोहरा को मार गिराया जाता है। यानी जो भी पुलिस प्रशासन की टीम है, एसटीएफ की टीम है या इंटेलिजेंस की टीम है, केवल उनकी ही गाड़ियों को अंदर जाने दिया जा रहा है, क्योंकि और कई सुराग जो है वो भी अब जो है इस एनकाउंटर के बाद सुराग मिलेंगे कि आखिर मंडी गांव में रोमिल वोहरा क्या कर रहा था, किससे मिलने आया था, क्या उसके सदस्य, उसके गैंग के कोई और सदस्य भी यहाँ रहते हैं। इन तमाम कड़ियों पर जो है वो टीम जांच करेगी।
And with this, we're taking a very short break. Coming up on the other side, explosions have been heard at Taji military base in Iraq's Baghdad. No casualties have been reported so far. We'll also tell you about how after 7 delays, NASA and SpaceX has announced June 25th as the new date for the Axiom 4 mission liftoff. This and much more on the other side. Stay with us.
Excellencies, 2 days ago, in this very chamber, I made a direct appeal: give peace a chance. That call was not heeded. Instead, the bombing of Iranian nuclear facilities by the United States marks a perilous turn in a region that is already reeling. From the outset of the crisis, I have repeatedly condemned any military escalation in the Middle East. The people of the region cannot endure another cycle of destruction. And yet, we now risk descending into a rat hole of retaliation after retaliation. To avoid it, diplomacy must prevail. Civilians must be protected. Safe maritime navigation must be guaranteed. The Non-Proliferation Treaty is a cornerstone of international peace and security. Iran must fully respect it. And all member states must act in accordance with their obligations under the UN Charter and other rules of international law, including international humanitarian law.
For 40 years, the Iranian government has called for death to America and death to Israel, and posed a constant menace to the peace and security of its neighbors, the United States, and the entire world.
Good afternoon, viewers. You're watching Live and Breaking, and I am Rakhta Mishra with you. The tensions in West Asia escalate. Remember, there was news of a ceasefire, but it seems that it has been violated. We'll get you all the latest on that, but first, the headlines. Ceasefire deal in West Asia collapses. Sirens sounded across northern Israel. Iran launches fresh missile attack. Global embarrassment for Donald Trump as truce deal between Israel and Iran falls apart after Trump claims to successfully mediate. Explosions heard at Taji military base in Iraq's Baghdad. No casualties reported. 10 crore legal notice against Air India after a passenger claims grievous injuries. And a drone target explosion heard at Taji military base in Iraq's Baghdad. And 10 crore legal notice against Air India after a passenger claims grievous injuries during travel. And after 7 delays, NASA and SpaceX announced 25th of June as the new date for Axiom mission liftoff. And we have breaking news coming in right now, viewers. Iran has now released images that shows the wreckage of multiple downed F-35 jets, likely the Israeli Adir variants, claiming to have destroyed them during its retaliatory missile strike against Israel military facilities. So this is the F-35 fighter jet. They are, of course, American jet, but in the Israeli version. And Iran has said that this is the evidence of the destroyed F-35 fighters. And on your screens is the image, the video that has been released by the Iranians. And Iran shows that how it has downed the F-35 jet. And remember, this is what they say that has been a result of their retaliatory missile strikes against Israeli military facilities. So Iran has been claiming for a long time that it shot down Israeli F-35 stealth fighters. But, remember, the F-35 is a stealth jet. It is known to have high efficiency. It's something that is said to be undetectable. But Iran has now offered evidence in the form of this video. And there were many questions for the longest time that did Iran really down the F-35, because it's called the world's top warplane. F-35 is the top warplane. It's the top fighter jet, known to be at least. And Iran says it has shot down the Israel's prized F-35I Adirs. This is the stealth jet that is the West deems it untouchable. And in fact, so as I was continuing to speak, and I was telling that Israel had earlier denied any loss of the F-35, but Iran now has said that it has these videos of those parts, the downed aircraft. And with that, viewers, we move on to some more breaking news coming in right now. Iran has now denied claims of a ceasefire violation and has said that the news of fresh missile launch towards Israel is false. Now, Iran's Supreme National Security Council denies the missile firing on Israel after ceasefire, vowing resolute response to the act of aggression. And this is the breaking news we have right now. Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz orders intense strike on Tehran, remember. But as United States, we saw how Trump had again announced a ceasefire, thumping his chest about the ceasefire. But it was so short-lived. We saw the Israeli strikes, we saw the Iranian strike. But Iran right now has said that the news of Iran firing missiles is false. So these are Iranian strikes in Tel Aviv, and sirens were sounded in Tel Aviv. But Iran says these are false news. This is false news, says Iran. And in fact, we'll get more details on that short-lived ceasefire. My colleague Akanksha is joining us live on the broadcast from the newsroom. Akanksha, well, we do get visuals from Tel Aviv that the sirens are blaring all across Tel Aviv. There were reports of fresh strikes, but Iran now says that this is all false news, that it has not violated the ceasefire, while we do get reports from both the countries hitting each other.
Well, absolutely. In fact, if you look at the visuals since morning, there have been several attacks by Iran on different places. In fact, let's talk about Beersheba first, where a residential area was damaged. There are several buildings, and we've been showing our viewers those visuals of the buildings being destroyed. 4 people have lost their life. And despite that, now Iran has come out and said that those fresh missile launch news towards Israel is completely false. They have denied claims of a ceasefire violation as well. In fact, Iran's Supreme National Security Council has denied missile fire on Israel after ceasefire, and they have said they will be responding to the act of aggression. So it remains to be seen how Israel reacts to this. But if we look at the visuals that are coming in fact, in Tel Aviv, the sirens, as you also said, are blaring there. There is the area is on high alert. IDF just a while back had said that they have detected several missiles coming towards Israel. So going by that, it appears, it remains to be seen how Israel responds to the statement that has come from Iran, where they have denied launching these missiles. And in fact, as far as the ceasefire violation is also concerned, they have denied the claims of the ceasefire violation as well, Rakshita.
Right, to stay on with us, we also have a statement coming in from the Chief of General Staff who has confirmed that in response to the ceasefire violations, the IDF will respond with positive. This is the reaction coming in from Israel's Chief of General Staff, saying that in response to the ceasefire violations, the Israeli Defense Forces are going to respond with force. So Israel is very clear that there is no aggression that will go unretaliated, unresponded. So we see that the war of words, Akanksha, still continues, the war of warnings continues, and so do the strikes.
Well, absolutely, but as far as the ceasefire is concerned, there's still no clarity. IDF on one hand says that ceasefire has been completely violated. Iran says that they have not launched any missile. That the news that of the missile attack on Israel is completely false. So the ground situation is very confusing right on. On the other hand, Donald Trump has in fact told both the countries to follow the ceasefire. In fact, just a while back, he had put out on social media that the ceasefire is in effect, but on ground we cannot see that. In Israel's Beersheba, the building has been completely damaged. There are in fact sirens blaring off in Tel Aviv as well. Israel on the other hand said that they will be in fact retorting to this escalation as far as Iran's missile attacks are concerned. So there's a lot of confusion on the ground as far as this current situation is concerned. It remains to be seen how it pans out in the coming hour, Rakshita.
Right. Thanks so much, Akansh, for joining us with those details coming in on the story. Meanwhile, we track some more updates coming in from West Asia. The IAEA Director General Rafael Grossi has said that resuming cooperation with the International Atomic Energy Agency is key to achieving a successful agreement, and he has formally proposed a meeting with the Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi to advance the nuclear diplomacy. This is the breaking news we have right now, and right now we will talk about what has this is the IAEA, and is now calling for another meeting. We have the challenges, of course, before IAEA, as there have been attacks after attacks on Iranian nuclear sites, and Iran, remember, had been threatening to consider suspending of cooperation with the nuclear watchdog, that is the IAEA. All right, we are being joined by Colonel Tejendra Pal Tyagi. He's the defense expert. He is joining us on the broadcast. Colonel Tyagi, I want to understand from you that what is the situation, unfolding as in your from your perspective, because this is another ceasefire that has collapsed, that Trump had, thumped his chest on. How do you see this development? Because right after the announcement, we see strikes, back-to-back strikes from both the sides.
No, back-to-back reaction has been seen from both Iran as well as Israel, but I think it has stopped. It is not continuing. It is not continuing, and this ceasefire I consider is an opportunity for Iran, and it is a compulsion for Israel. Compulsion for Israel because America has gone out of his way, and he has helped Israel in giving GBU-257 and B-2 bombers for the Fordo nuclear plant in Iran. So this was something which even the Congress of America had not authorized Donald Trump. He did it for Israel, and for Israel it is compulsion that whatever now Donald Trump says, he will have to agree. But as far as Iran is concerned, I say it is an opportunity. Reasons are two. Number one, the air defense system of Iran were diminished and were destroyed to such an extent that Israel could establish 100% air superiority in the skies of Iran. And Israel could hit any target at will. So Iran has started feeling weak, number one. Number two, none of the countries came to his rescue actually in actual terms or in real terms. And then he committed a mistake. He committed a strike on the military base of America in Qatar, expecting that Qatar will come to his help, and he said that Qatar is my friend, he is my neighbor to me, and I am not attacking Qatar, I am only attacking the military base of America. But Qatar retaliated, And Qatar said that no, it is a breach of my sovereignty, it is a breach of my airspace, and I will retaliate. This made Iran to rethink that if this is the response of Qatar, then similar going to be the response of all other Middle East countries, the so-called Muslim countries. None of them will come with me, and even the greater powers are not coming with me. And as far as China is concerned, China is not in a position to come with me. Then what to do? Then to save.
Right, sir. Colonel T.P. Taggi, thank you so much for joining us on the broadcast with those updates coming in. Now we have some more updates coming in, viewers. More breaking news coming in right now. At least 5 people have lost their lives in Israel's Beersheba after an Iranian ballistic missile hit an apartment on Tuesday. Several others were also reported to be injured in the missile attack. And sirens were sounded in Israel due to a missile launched from Iran. The IDF also confirmed that Iran launched 3 missiles within an hour on Tuesday morning. Iranian attacks come after United States President Donald Trump announced a ceasefire with Iran, and Trump claims that Israel and Iran had agreed to a complete and total ceasefire soon after Iran launched a limited missile attack on Monday on a U.S. military base in Qatar. So that's the breaking news. We have the strikes in Beersheba once again. One after the other, we see Beersheba, that's a civilian area that is being targeted. You can see the destruction depicted in those images. And in the devastation there, 5 civilians have been killed in these strikes by Iran. And you can see how the first responders are combing through the debris. There are children, there are civilians who have been affected, viewers. The children are being rescued from that building in Beersheba. We've seen this area being on target of the Iranians, and the Home Command front conducting rescue operations in Israel's Beersheba. So the scenes of destruction in a civilian area in Israel as a ceasefire collapsed. Now, Iraq has ramped up security in Baghdad, the green zone, after U.S. airstrikes on Iran. The Iraqi security forces have deployed the SWAT teams and armored vehicles in the green zone, particularly heavily in areas near the U.S. embassy. Now, temporary cordons were established around the diplomatic premises, barring access of the unauthorized personnel. So there you have the visuals coming in of the strike in a Taji military base in Iraq. In Baghdad and Iran, you can clearly see that this is a huge explosion that took place. Iraq ramping up the security in Baghdad's a green zone over there, and sirens have been sounded in northern Israel as well as we speak. So the retaliation continues. Iran has struck the Taji military base in Iraq. It also struck the air base in Qatar last night as well. All right, now viewers, at the centenary celebration of the historic conversation between Sri Narayan Guru and Mahatma Gandhi, Prime Minister Modi lauded Operation Sindu. He says, and I quote, "Recently the world saw India's capability and made India's stance on terrorism very clear." Here's more.
हाल में दुनिया ने ये भी देखा है कि भारत का सामर्थ्य क्या है। ऑपरेशन सिंदूर आतंकवाद के खिलाफ भारत की कठोर नीति को दुनिया के सामने एकदम स्पष्ट कर दिया है। हमने दिखा दिया है कि भारतीयों का खून बहाने वाले आतंकियों के लिए कोई भी ठिकाना सुरक्षित नहीं है। साथियों, आज का भारत देश हित में जो भी हो सकता है और जो भी सही है उसके हिसाब से कदम उठाता है। आज सैन्य जरूरतों के लिए भी भारत की विदेशों पर निर्भरता लगातार कम हो रही है। हम डिफेंस सेक्टर में आत्मनिर्भर हो रहे हैं और इसका प्रभाव हमने ऑपरेशन सिंदूर के दौरान भी देखा है। हमारी सेनाओं ने भारत में बने हथियारों से दुश्मन को 22 मिनट में 22 मिनट में घुटने टेकने के लिए मजबूर कर दिया। मुझे विश्वास है आने वाले समय में मेड इन इंडिया हथियारों का डंका पूरी दुनिया में बजेगा।
Time for a short break, viewers, but it's a global embarrassment for Trump. We couldn't tell you how, as the truce has just collapsed. The truce deal between Israel and Iran falls apart after Trump claimed to successfully mediate. And Israel Defense Forces claim strikes in southern Israel, massive destruction in Beersheba, 5 civilians killed. We'll get you more on that. Stay tuned.
MDH की देगी मीरज,
देगी मिर्च का तड़का, अंग अंग फड़का।
MDH की देगी मीरज।
Excellencies, 2 days ago, in this very chamber, I made a direct appeal: give peace a chance. That call was not heeded. Instead, the bombing of Iranian nuclear facilities by the United States marks a perilous turn in a region that is already reeling. From the outset of the crisis, I have repeatedly condemned any military escalation in the Middle East. The people of the region cannot endure another cycle of destruction. And yet, we now risk descending into a rat hole of retaliation after retaliation. To avoid it, diplomacy must prevail. Civilians must be protected. Safe maritime navigation must be guaranteed. The Non-Proliferation Treaty is a cornerstone of international peace and security. Iran must fully respect it. And all member states must act in accordance with their obligations under the UN Charter and other rules of international law, including international humanitarian law.
For 40 years, the Iranian government has called for death to America and death to Israel, and posed a constant menace to the peace and security of its neighbors, the United States, and the entire world. U.S. military strikes targeted nuclear facilities in Fordo, Natanz, and Isfahan, with the aim of dismantling Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity and stopping the nuclear threat posed by the world's foremost state sponsor of terror. This operation sought to eliminate a long-standing but rapidly escalating source of global insecurity and to aid our ally Israel in our inherent right of collective self-defense, consistent with the UN.
I don't just report from courtrooms on verdicts, I decode them. From breaking news to complex legal verdicts, every word is backed by law. At the Republic School of Journalism, you will learn how to report on legal issues with accuracy and speed. The RSJ Diploma, starting on the 30th of June. Apply now.
In the global employability rankings by Times Higher Education UK, only the following 6 institutions from India are ranked amongst the top 230 in the world for having the most employable graduates: IIT Delhi, IISc Bangalore, IIT Bombay, IIM Ahmedabad, IIT Kharagpur, and Amity University.
अब छोलिया हो या लोबिया, सफेद चने या काले चने,
सब कुछ मजेदार बने।
MDH
لا إله إلا الله. لا إله إلا الله. Southwest, coming from the direction of Al-Udaid. Windows are shaking. La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. Probably Patriot.
Allahu Akbar. Madam.
لا إله إلا الله. لا إله إلا الله. Southwest, coming from the direction of Al-Udaid. Windows are shaking. La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. Probably Patriot.
Allahu Akbar. Madam.
विमल में गुलिस्तां की ये कुछ लजीज फरिश्ते जब साथ गुले तो जी ललचाए।
I have seen what it takes to report from the front lines. Accuracy, courage, urgency and responsibility. At Republic School of Journalism, you will be trained for that reality. It is not theory. It is live learning from inside a working newsroom from day one. If you want to report the truth when it matters the most, Republic School of Journalism is where you begin. Course begins on the 30th of June. Apply now.
विमल में गुलिस्तां के ये कुछ लजीज फरिश्ते जब साथ गुले तो जी ललचाए और दिल कहे कि स्वाद की जुबान में खुद को ऐसे डुबाऊं कि निकल ना पाऊं। विमल की जुबान कुछ है ही ऐसी, मानते हैं? विमल बोलो जुबान कैसी।
अब छोलिया हो या लोबिया, सफेद चने या काले चने,
सब कुछ मजेदार बने।
MDH
Excellencies, 2 days ago, in this very chamber, I made a direct appeal, give peace a chance. That call was not heeded. Instead, The bombing of Iranian nuclear facilities by the United States marks a perilous turn in a region that is already reeling. From the outset of the crisis, I have repeatedly condemned any military escalation in the Middle East. The people of the region cannot endure another cycle of destruction. And yet, we now risk descending into a rat hole of retaliation after retaliation. To avoid it, diplomacy must prevail. Civilians must be protected. Safe maritime navigation must be guaranteed. The Non-Proliferation Treaty is a cornerstone of international peace and security. Iran must fully respect it. And all member states must act in accordance with their obligations under the UN Charter and other rules of international law, including international humanitarian law.
For 40 years, the Iranian government has called for death to America and death to Israel, and posed a constant menace to the peace and security of its neighbors, the United States, and the entire world. U.S. military.
From Asia's largest news headquarters, setting the agenda for Bharat. You're watching Republic.
Hello and welcome. You're watching live and breaking at 3 p.m. I am Tanisha Avasthi. Ladies and gentlemen, the ceasefire that Donald Trump had announced unilaterally has completely collapsed. The ceasefire that Trump had announced was collapsed. Remember, just 2.5 hours its announcement, and the escalation is only and only intensifying. We're getting you a close watch on that with more breaking news updates on that raging conflict. But first, a quick check of the headlines. Ceasefire deal in the Middle East collapses. Sirens sounded across northern Israel. Iran launches fresh missile attacks. Global embarrassment for Trump as truce deal between Israel and Iran falls apart after Donald Trump claimed to successfully mediate. Israel Defense Forces claim strikes in southern Israel. Massive destruction in Beersheba. 4 killed. Explosions heard at Taji military base in Iraq's Baghdad. No casualties have been reported. 10 crore legal notice against Air India after passenger claims previous injuries during travel. And after 7 delays, NASA and SpaceX announced June 25 as the new date for Axiom mission liftoff. Ladies and gentlemen, the conflict between Israel and Iran is only escalating, and this even after the ceasefire was announced unilaterally by the United States President Donald Trump. Now, in a fresh breaking news, Iran has issued a statement following the ceasefire. Iran's Supreme National Security Council has hailed what it calls the unity and resistance of its people, saying it shattered the enemy's core strategy. The council praised the Iranian Ahmad forces for what it described as a devastating response to Israel's aggression carried out under the direct orders of the supreme leader. So that's a big statement that's coming in where Iran has completely denied the missile strikes. Remember, they have issued a statement following the ceasefire that was announced by the United States President Donald Trump. Iran's Supreme National Security Council, we learn, has hailed what it calls the unity and resistance of its people, saying it shattered the enemy's core strategy. The council has praised the Iranian armed forces for what it describes as a devastating response to Israel's aggression carried out under the direct orders of the supreme leader. Netanyahu, remember, had earlier also issued a statement, Iran now retaliating to that, saying that Iran has been successful in hitting the core of the enemy. Meanwhile, we move across to other breaking news that's coming in, where Iran has released first images of downed Israeli F-35 fighters. Now, Iran says that the documented evidence shows how they destroyed the F-35 fighters, a devastating blow to the Western military prestige, especially the European allies. Remember, this was the claim that was given out by Iran. However, they have now released pictures of which are there on your screen, where there can be debris that have been seen that are claimed to be of the F-35 fighter jet. Iran says that this is the evidence of the destroyed F-35 fighter jets that they have completely decimated. These are the first images of the downed Israeli F-35 fighter, is what Iran claims. They have also said that this documented evidence shows how the F-35 fighters were completely destroyed, and it served as a devastating blow to the Western military prestige, especially the European allies. Nick, my colleague, is joining me live from Tel Aviv. Nick, we learned that the ceasefire collapsed 2.5 hours after the Donald Trump administration had announced it. Beersheba is one of the worst hit places today, where 4 people have been killed. How is the situation on ground like? Because what we did learn a few minutes back is that there were sirens sounded in northern Israel as well.
Yes, that's right. It took just 3.5 hours for Iran to fire towards the Israeli cities again. But this time it was just 2 rockets, and the Israeli defense system intercepted them, so there are no casualties. Iranians on their official TV denying that they were the ones that sent those rockets, and Israeli politicians from the right wing already saying that Iran should pay a price and Israel can't leave it at this stage of the ceasefire, and they need to respond for this violation of the ceasefire. That's why now maybe Israel will resume some attacks in Iran, but it's not clear cut. It's not sure, because the US and Donald Trump put all their prestige on this ceasefire. Trump already announced that this is a done deal. So that's why I don't think Netanyahu will want to do something to harm Trump's word. And maybe this cycle of violence will end, and probably many Israelis hope that the ceasefire will sustain and that the war with Iran is concluded. Back to you.
Absolutely, Nick. Thank you very much for sharing those details with us. We will keep coming back to you when there are breaking updates on this top story. But for now, we move across to the other breaking news that's coming in. Our tensions are high in Iraq after the United States airstrikes on Iran. Now, Baghdad has ramped up security in the green zone with SWAT teams and armored vehicles that have been deployed near the U.S. Embassy. Over 500 U.S. Embassy staff have reportedly been evacuated. Now, the Iraqi Prime Minister has condemned the United States for violating Iraqi airspace and urged the UN to act. Protests have also broken out as Iraq reassesses its ties with the United States. The picture is now coming out as that the United States has been completely sidelined. Remember, Donald Trump, who claimed to have brokered the ceasefire between Israel and Iran, has seemed to have completely failed in his attempt to brokerage a peace tie between the arch rivals Israel and Iran. He claimed that on his social media post this morning that a ceasefire deal has been cracked and that both sides will not retaliate. However, neither Iran nor did Israel acknowledge it, and now we see that the ceasefire has been completely collapsed. And with the collapsing of the ceasefire, remember, there are strikes and counter-strikes that have taken place, followed by both Iran and Israel vowing for revenge, saying that they will not back down. We also learned that Donald Trump has said that he will talk about negotiations with Iran. However, it remains to be seen on how far will Iran take this to, on how far will Israel take this to. We also are tracking other updates on this top story. Let's have a quick check of the other stories that are making round in the Israel-Iran conflict. Now, Tehran has launched a missile operation targeting the United States military bases in Qatar and Iraq in retaliation to the United States strike on its nuclear facilities. This comes merely hours after Donald Trump announced the success of a so-called ceasefire. Here is all that you need to know about this.
La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. Southwest, coming from the direction of Al-Udaid. Windows are shaking. La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. Probably Patriot.
Allahu Akbar. Madam.
La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. Southwest, coming from the direction of Al-Udaid. Windows are shaking. La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. Probably Patriot.
Allahu Akbar. Madam.
All right, we have a huge statement that's coming in from the Chief of General Staff, who has now confirmed that in response to the ceasefire violations, the Israeli Defense Force will respond with force. That's a huge statement that the IDF, the Israeli Defense Forces, have given out to Iran in regard with the collapse of the ceasefire, saying that Israel will respond to Iran with full force. Remember, it was just late last night when Iran had launched attack on United States' military bases in Qatar and Iraq as well. The Iranian Foreign Ministry had then said that they will not bow down, and in regard with the same, the Israeli Defense Force just a few seconds back have released a huge statement saying that in response to the ceasefire violations by Iran, the Israeli Defense Force will respond with full force. So nowhere does this war, the conflict, seems to have an end. All right, remember there have been fresh Iranian strikes in Tel Aviv, Haifa and other places as well. Beersheba has been the worst hit place in Israel, where there were reports of 4 people that have already been killed in the missile attack that was fired by Iran, and this came just few hours after Donald Trump had announced the ceasefire, thereby completely violating the ceasefire. So Iran is the one who is not listening to Donald Trump after he had unilaterally announced ceasefire, and both sides have now vowed for revenge. More breaking news coming in this regard, where we learned that Israel has now said that it has intercepted over 15 UAVs that have been launched from Iran. Now, this happened overnight. Remember, yesterday we got to the visuals where there were multiple missiles that were fired by Iran on United States military bases in Qatar and Iraq. Now we learn that Israeli Defense Forces have confirmed that it has intercepted, in fact, over 15 UAVs that were launched from Iran. Let's also have a quick check of the other stories that are making headlines as far as the Iran-Israel conflict is concerned. Iranian state television reported that a ceasefire came into force at 7:30 a.m. local time. Meanwhile, Israel warned the public of a new missile barrage launched from Iran. This comes after the announcement made by the President Trump. 165 Indian evacuees on board IAF C-17 flight from Israel landed in Delhi Palam Airport today. The aircraft landed at around 8:45 a.m. in the national capital from Amman, Jordan. MOS Dr. L. Murugan received the Indian citizens upon their arrival at the national capital. United States President Donald Trump, in a post on his Truth Social account, confirmed the ceasefire and commented, "The ceasefire is now in effect. Please do not violate it." And look at the irony. Just few hours after that is when the ceasefire has been completely collapsed. Israel Emergency Services say the death toll in the Beersheba strike has risen to at least 8 people. The direct hit in the largest city in southern Israel comes hours after the Trump administration had announced the ceasefire. And it's time for us to slip into a short break, but after the break we'll get to the details of how Air India has been slapped with a 10 crore legal notice, and we'll tell you the reasons why. Also after the break is the new launch date for the AX4 mission, that is tomorrow. What preparations are to be done? All those details coming after a short break. A huge moment for India where Shubhanshu Shukla will finally take off in the AX4 mission. All those details coming up right after a short break.
Excellencies, 2 days ago, in this very chamber, I made a direct appeal: give peace a chance. That call was not heeded. Instead, the bombing of Iranian nuclear facilities by the United States marks a perilous turn in a region that is already reeling. From the outset of the crisis, I have repeatedly condemned any military escalation in the Middle East. The people of the region cannot endure another cycle of destruction. And yet, we now risk descending into a rat hole of retaliation after retaliation. To avoid it, diplomacy must prevail. Civilians must be protected. Safe maritime navigation must be guaranteed. The Non-Proliferation Treaty is a cornerstone of international peace and security. Iran must fully respect it. And all member states must act in accordance with their obligations under the UN Charter and other rules of international law, including international humanitarian law.
For 40 years, the Iranian government has called for death to America and death to Israel, and posed a constant menace to the peace and security of its neighbors, the United States, in the entire world. U.S. military strikes targeted nuclear facilities in Fordo, Natanz, and Isfahan with the aim of dismantling Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity and stopping the nuclear threat posed by the world's former.
Ladies and gentlemen, India is set to make history. After 7 delays, the AX-4 mission carrying Indian astronaut Shubhanshu Shukla will finally take off tomorrow, the most awaited moment for every Indian. We are getting you all the details in this report. Watch this.
After 7 delays, the AX-4 mission is finally set to launch tomorrow. It marks a new chapter in international space collaboration. The AX-4 mission is a fully private space flight, part of a growing shift where commercial players now lead low Earth orbit missions. The mission will carry Indian Air Force Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla to the International Space Station, making him the first Indian astronaut to reach the ISS. Shukla will fly alongside veteran American astronaut Peggy Whitson, Hungarian pilot Tibor Kapu, and Polish engineer Slavoj Uzanski-Wisniewski. The Falcon 9 rocket will lift off from Kennedy Space Center in Florida at 2:31 a.m. Eastern Time, which is 12:01 p.m. in Indian Standard Time. The crew is expected to dock the International Space Station around 7 a.m. Eastern Time on June 26, approximately 4:30 p.m. Indian Time. During their 2-week mission, the team will conduct more than 60 scientific experiments, including Indian-led studies on microgravity and human health. The mission also focuses on human biology, investigating how prolonged exposure to microgravity impacts muscles, cells, and immune responses. Shukla, a decorated test pilot with over 2,000 flight hours, has undergone intensive training for this mission, representing India's growing presence in space exploration. If successful, this will be the first time in 41 years that an Indian astronaut reaches space since Rakesh Sharma's historic flight in 1984. Tomorrow's launch could mark a turning point as India returns to crewed space missions on a global platform.
Here's a quick check of the other stories that we're tracking in Bharat in 2 minutes. The first flight with a batch of 165 Indian nationals evacuated from Israel landed in the national capital today. The MEA official spokesperson Ranveer Jaiswal stated that the Israel leg of Operation Sindu began yesterday and the first group of Indian nationals from Jordan will be arriving in India today. The evacuees were received by MOS Pratibha at the airport. One Indian national shared that the situation in Israel is not good. He said he could hear sirens while he was living and seeing the missiles in the sky. He thanked the Indian embassy for bringing him home. As a part of Operation Sindu, 292 Indian nationals were evacuated from Iran on a special flight that arrived in New Delhi from Mashhad at 3:30 a.m. today. MEA official spokesperson Ranveer Jaiswal shared a total of 2,295 Indian nationals have now been brought home from Iran. On the night of 23rd June, Maoists attacked the road construction site in the Jorkhat area. We learn that this was at the Hazaribagh district. At around 30 to 35 armed people were there on the spot and the security forces have foiled the event. After a flood-like situation was witnessed in Baran of Rajasthan, the district administration conducted a rescue operation, Danger Across. Following continuous rainfall in the region, the state disaster response force have evacuated 29 people and many more other who have been safely moved to the safe shelters. A mock drill of coordination among various departments was held today ahead of Lord Jagannath Rath Yatra. The mock drill was held at Integrated Command and Control Center of the town police station complex for orderly and safe completion of the Yatra. Maharashtra Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis has chaired a key meeting on the three-language policy. Here are all the details that you need to know about the key meeting that was chaired by the Maharashtra Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis just today.
Maharashtra Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis chaired a meeting at his official residence in South Mumbai late last night. The meeting was chaired over the implementation of the three-language formula. Deputy Chief Minister Eknath Shinde, School Education Minister Dada Bhuse and Minister of State Dr. Pankaj Bhoyer were present. An in-depth discussion was held on the new education policy. The meeting saw the status of all states to ensure that Marathi students are not disadvantaged under the policy. Furthermore, it was resolved in the meeting that all stakeholders must be consulted. Stakeholders include Marathi language scholars, literateurs, and political leaders. Maharashtra Chief Minister Fadnavis further said that a final decision will be made only after this consultation process is completed.
It's time for us to slip into a short break, but after the break, we'll get to the details of how the ceasefire deal in the Middle East has completely collapsed as sirens have been sounded across northern Israel. Also after the break is how Trump is facing global embarrassment as the truce deal between Israel and Iran falls apart.
In the global employability rankings by Times Higher Education UK, only the following 6 institutions from India are ranked amongst the top 230 in the world for having the most employable graduates. IIT Delhi, IISc Bangalore, IIT Bombay, IIM Ahmedabad, IIT Kharagpur and Amity University.
MDH की हल्दी मिर्ची धनिया करे कमाल, ये रंग दे, ये खुशबू दे, ये तीखा, ये कम पड़े, क्या निराला MDH मसाला।
لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله. Southwest, coming from the direction of Al-Udaid. Windows are shaking. La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. Probably Patriot.
Allahu Akbar. Madam.
It's just my connection with the world is entirely, purely with the sound only. Because through sound, I can't manipulate. I only communicate through sound, through music. You see, I was never good in my school. I was not good in mathematics. But in my music, I was using mathematics. All the this is all mathematics. So I could do that. So we create castles in the air. You see, you can't see music, you can't see rhythm, like you can't see God. So it's a precious gift of God.
आधे बाउल दही में 4 चम्मच MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला डाला, स्टर करो, पुदीना चटनी तैयार। MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला।
MDH की हल्दी मिर्ची धनिया करे कमाल, ये रंग दे, ये खुशबू दे, ये तीखा, ये कम पड़े, क्या निराला MDH मसाला।
Excellencies, 2 days ago, in this very chamber, I made a direct appeal: give peace a chance. That call was not heeded. Instead, the bombing of Iranian nuclear facilities by the United States marks a perilous turn in a region that is already reeling. From the outset of the crisis, I have repeatedly condemned any military escalation in the Middle East. The people of the region cannot endure another cycle of destruction. And yet, we now risk descending into a rat hole of retaliation after retaliation. To avoid it, diplomacy must prevail. Civilians must be protected. Safe maritime navigation must be guaranteed. The Non-Proliferation Treaty is a cornerstone of international peace and security. Iran must fully respect it. And all member states must act in accordance with their obligations under the UN Charter and other rules of international law, including international humanitarian law.
For 40 years, the Iranian government has called for death to America and death to Israel, and posed a constant menace to the peace and security of its neighbors, the United States, and the entire world. U.S. military strikes targeted nuclear facilities in Fordo, Natanz, and Isfahan, with the aim of dismantling Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity and stopping the nuclear threat posed by the world's foremost
Very good afternoon, viewers. You're watching Live and Breaking. I'm Arsha with you. Republic TV is tracking minute-by-minute developments from West Asia as the ceasefire has been short-lived. It has collapsed. We'll get you all the latest updates and the reactions coming in. But first, the headlines. Ceasefire deal in the Middle East collapses. Sirens sounded across northern Israel. Iran launches fresh missile attacks. Global embarrassment for Trump as truce deal between Israel and Iran falls apart after Trump claims to successfully mediate. Israel Defense Forces claim strikes in southern Israel, massive destruction in Beersheba, 4 killed. Explosions heard at Taji military base in Iraq's Baghdad. No casualties reported. ₹10 crore legal notice against ₹10 crore legal notice against Air India after a passenger claims grievous injuries during travel. After 7 delays, NASA and SpaceX announced 25th of June, that is tomorrow, as the new date for Axiom mission liftoff. All eyes on Indian astronaut Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla's. Just hours before a ceasefire between Israel and Iran began, Israel airstrikes hit Tehran. Now, this program by the capital skyline early Tuesday. Ceasefire brokered by US President Donald Trump was meant to hold a 12-day war, but the truce faltered almost immediately, with both sides trading fresh fire. Israel accused Iran of violating the agreement, while Tehran denied launching missiles. Sirens rang out in northern Israel as tensions spiked once again. So there you have Tehran hitting just hours before the ceasefire was announced. But even the ceasefire has been short-lived, and in fact Iran goes on to claim that F-35, but of course there is no means to verify it yet. It's only Iran who itself has released that image. But what's more important is that the ceasefire, which Trump has claimed he has been successfully mediating, has been very, very short-lived. And viewers, we have some more breaking developments coming in. Israel has said that it has intercepted 15 UAVs launched from Iran. In fact, we have visuals also coming in. IDF says, and it also has shown it's one of the video how there you have how one of the drone was intercepted there. 15 UAVs launched from Iran. And remember, this is all coming right after the ceasefire was announced by Donald Trump. And you see the UAVs now being launched as per Israel from Iran. And Israeli defense forces say they have intercepted over 15 unmanned aerial vehicles, 15 UAVs from Iran. And that is the visual released by the IDF. And in fact, viewers, this is back-to-back strike that we have been reporting from Israel after the ceasefire. Now, viewers, US President Donald Trump may have announced a ceasefire, but on the ground, missiles continue to hit residential buildings across southern Israel. According to the rescue teams, death toll is mounting quick in Beersheba, with search for the survivors still underway.
Sirens, explosions, and collapsing buildings. The war between Israel and Iran is far from over. Rescue teams pulling out dead bodies from under the rubble. Firefighters scanning the debris of what was a residential apartment before the missile impact. Iranian missiles shook the streets of Tel Aviv today as the fragile hopes of peace crumbled under fresh missile fire. US President Donald Trump announced a complete and total ceasefire between Israel and Iran after Iran's limited missile strike on a US military base in Qatar late Monday. But the reality on the ground tells a different story. Iran's foreign minister had set a clear deadline at 4 a.m. local Tehran time. If Israel stopped its strikes by then, Iran would halt its own. But even an hour after that deadline passed, the missiles kept coming. Israel's military sounded urgent warnings, confirming new missile launches from Iran. In the skies over Jerusalem, Israeli missile defense systems were seen intercepting incoming threats. Soon after, Israel's Home Front Command issued another nationwide alert, warning that yet another barrage from Iran was on its way. Trump, posting on his Truth social account, said the ceasefire would officially begin around midnight Eastern Time today. He called it an official end to the war. But on the ground, the war was far from over. Israel's paramedic service, Magen David Adom, confirmed that 3 people were critically injured after an Iranian missile struck a residential area. A 7-story building in southern Israel's Beersheba suffered a direct hit. The entire face of the building was blown apart. Rescue workers rushed to the scene. Israeli firefighters confirmed they retrieved 4 bodies from the rubble and was searching for more survivors. For nearly 2 hours this morning, waves of Iranian missiles forced Israelis across the country to seek shelter as sirens blared and explosions echoed. The launches came after Tehran's deadline, testing the very core of the ceasefire agreement. Trump's ceasefire plan, announced just hours earlier, has now been accepted by Israel. With missiles still flying and lives still at risk, peace remains a distant promise.
And we have a former IDF Major Dan Pfefferman joining us on the broadcast for more. Dan, well, we see that there was a ceasefire that was announced by Donald Trump, but it is so short-lived that strikes continue. In fact, Iran is also hitting on civilian areas. What is the latest that you are getting to learn?
Yes, we went to sleep with a very cautious optimism at 1 a.m., 2 a.m. for us here in Israel, that a ceasefire announcement had been reached and that it was essentially going into effect in the morning, at 7 in the morning Israel time. At 5 in the morning, we were awakened with barrage after barrage of Iranian missiles that kept us in the bomb shelters until a little bit after 7 a.m. And then we saw, of course, the tragic news that in Beersheba, civilian residential building was hit and at least 4 people were murdered in that strike. I have to say all of the strikes by Iran throughout this entire period have been on civilian areas, residential buildings, and all of the people killed in Israel. Now we're talking about around 30 people who have been killed in Israel by the Iranian strikes are all civilians. So it's not really clear to us what's happening. Did Iran accept the ceasefire? We haven't seen any official statement from Iran. Only kind of an ambiguous statement by Foreign Minister Arakshi that calm will be met with calm, sort of a statement, but no direct acceptance of Trump's ceasefire offer. And Israel, of course, even prior to this, had announced and had told different reporters that it had essentially finished its campaign and was ready to enter into a ceasefire as well. So it's just really not clear what's going on. And this morning was a very brutal morning for us here in Israel.
Absolutely, but we see that the warnings continue to come in from Iran. The Supreme Security Council also continues to threaten and talk about, that they will keep their finger on the trigger for any case of aggression. In fact, that is what we are breaking also right now as we speak. But Dan, I want to understand from you, because that, Iran is continuing with its warning. The war of words is also coming in. But what really is the option as of now, as on the Israeli part?
Well, Israel right now, and Defense Minister Katz announced immediately after that we're going to have to respond to this, as did the IDF Chief of Staff General Zamir. Israel is going to have to respond to this. And again, what do those responses mean? Does it mean taking out regime officials? Does it mean taking out now kind of shifting from nuclear and ballistic missile installations to more regime targets? What Israel will not do, which is exactly what the Iranians have been doing, is target civilians, because we have absolutely no intention of ever hurting Iranian civilians or any civilians in this area. And so this is something we're going to have to consider. I think you're going to need to see the Americans double down on their efforts here together with the Qataris, if I understand that they helped broker this elusive ceasefire. But it always baffles me how the Iranians and the radical axis in the region, whenever they have a choice between pragmatism and calm, they choose extremism and terror and escalation. And when they do, it's almost always to target civilians, unlike Israel strikes, which target regime installations and military installations.
Right, but Israel continues to say that Iran has violated the ceasefire. Iran over there says that we did not, and all these are false claims. In the next 24 hours, what can we expect? Do we expect that the ceasefire that has been violated will be restored? Are there any chances? Is there any scope for a ceasefire right now?
I believe there is. Israel, as I said, finished its essential goals in this operation. The goals were to cause a significant delay, a significant setback to the nuclear missile program, to the ballistic missile programs. And that was the very stated goal of Israel's strikes and of the U.S. joining those strikes. So once Israel finished those, the Israeli government, the Israeli military is ready to wrap things up. And so you have now one side of this conflict that is ready to wrap things up. The Iranian side, of course, from its perspective, its airspace, its sovereignty were violated. The crown jewel of its entire scientific and domestic achievement, something that it's funneled anywhere between $500 billion to $1 trillion over the last 30 years, has been destroyed overnight. Iran's hubris has come back to bite it. And the question is will Iran be a pragmatic, radical actor and live to fight another day? And is this just sort of a parting shot before the ceasefire takes place to show that they save face? Or will they completely reject the ceasefire? Will they try to launch all-out attacks on Israel? And then you will see kind of going back to a more significant escalation, because this time Israel will target not just the nuclear and ballistic missile programs, but it will have to go after the regime itself.
Right.
So it waits to be seen.
All right, Dan Pfefferman, thank you so much again joining us with your insights on that development coming in from West Asia viewers. And as we speak, we have some more updates coming in as we're telling you that the Iranian Supreme Security Council has threatened that, and I quote here, "We will keep our finger on the trigger for any case of aggression," unquote. So this is the update from Iran. Iran says that it will continue to, in fact, it will retaliate if there is any aggression. So you see these statements coming in, viewers. These statements are incessant from Iran or Israel. Iran, in fact, trying to issue such warnings time and again. We had last night even Khamenei tweeting about that photograph of the American flag without even naming United States. It had the American flag burning in that image that he tweeted. And what followed were more Iranian strikes, and then we saw the ceasefire being announced, which has been short-lived. And now Iran again says that finger on the trigger for any future strikes. So this is the Iranian security body that has issued this warning as the ceasefire collapsed. So as the tensions are escalating, viewers, the Operation Sindu, of course, comes in focus for India. The centre's operation has been repatriating Indians stranded in West Asia on war footing. The latest is the Indian Air Force C-17 flight with 165 Indians landing in the national capital. Here's a quick report on that.
Operation Sindu has come as a major relief for all the Indians stranded in the conflict zone. Tuesday morning, an Indian Air Force C-17 aircraft carrying 165 Indians from Israel landed in Delhi's Palam Airport. The flight landed at 8:45 a.m. after they were evacuated from Jordan. The passengers were welcomed at the airport by Union Minister L. Murugan and other Indian Air Force officers.
Today the second aircraft from Israel came here. Almost 165 passengers are landed here. We welcomed them. And these 165 passengers from various 22 states, they are all students and various work they are doing. Our government's priority, our Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modiji's priority is to that wherever the war situation is there, or our Indians and our Indian diaspora peoples are struck, to evacuate. Our priority, our Prime Minister's priority to evacuate them to safely to our nation.
Speaking to the media, the Indian nationals who were brought back thanked the central government for ensuring their safety during such uncertain times.
ऑल ओवर इज़राइल में तो उतनी अच्छी नहीं थी बिकॉज हम देख रहे थे बट एट माई प्लेस इट वॉज मच सेफ़र. वहाँ पे सायरन्स सुनने को मिले थे बट जो भी था वो इंटरसेप्शन हो रहा था.
Some of the passengers also expressed happiness over their evacuation experience. The conflict between Israel and Iran began on June 13th when the former launched a massive airstrike on Iranian military and the nuclear sites, codenamed as Operation Rising Lion.
Breaking news coming in right now. Now, Qatar's foreign ministry has summoned Iran's ambassador, condemning the IRGC missile strike on Al Hudayd base as a flagrant violation of its sovereignty. Remember, Iran had hit the American air base in Qatar, and now Qatar had also, in fact, condemned the strike on Al Hudayd base, and now it has also summoned the Iranian envoy over the base strike. There you have Qatar summoning Iranian envoy over the strike on the US military base in Qatar. It had launched missiles at the US military base in what is said was a retaliation for the American strikes against its nuclear sites like Isfahan, Natanz and Fordo. So in fact there were loud bangs in the skies. You can see above the capital Doha in Qatar, and videos showed the bright flashes in the sky, air defense systems attempting to intercept missiles. Qatar, of course, has said that there has been not much damage because of this, but we see that Qatar is not taking it lying down, at least on the face of it. Al Udeid, remember, is the home to US military headquarters for all air operations in the region. Now, Tehran launched a missile operation targeting the US military bases in Qatar and Iraq as well. This is in retaliation to US strikes on its nuclear facilities, and this was merely just hours before Trump announced the success of a so-called ceasefire deal. Here's more.
La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. Southwest, coming from the direction of Al-Udeid. Windows are shaking. La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. Probably Patriot. Allahu Akbar. Madam. La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. Southwest, coming from the direction of Al-Udeid. Windows are shaking. La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. Probably Patriot. Allahu Akbar. Madam.
Now coming in from the Chief of General Staff, who has now confirmed that in response to the ceasefire violations, the IDF will respond with force. So IDF continues to reiterate that Israel will respond to Iran with full force. So both the nations continue to warn each other. We have Israel, we have Iran saying that we will hit back. So this tit-for-tit strikes have been going on for more than 10 days, and even these statements also have been going on for the longest time. We've seen what has been happening after the ceasefire that was so short-lived, as Donald Trump tried to pull off what he tried to do earlier with Iran, with India and Pakistan. Also, we see what has happened after the ceasefire announced by Donald Trump. We saw these sirens being sounded in Tel Aviv, Iran hitting with the missiles in Tel Aviv. In fact, many of the civilian areas have been struck by the Iranians there. And Israel also says that it has intercepted more than 15 UAVs from Iran. So you have these visuals coming in that in fact depict the devastation from several areas, from Tel Aviv to Beersheba. In fact, in Beersheba, viewers, more than at least 5 civilians have been killed, and the rescue operation is underway there in that civilian area in that city. And as we speak, we have more and more visuals of destruction from Israel as Iran continues to hit back. Israel also has said that we will, strike back. We will not hold back if Iran tries to if there's any misadventure from Iran. So viewers, with that, we will continue with more updates. But right now, it's time for a short break. We'll tell you the latest coming in from the turbulence in the aviation sector. Now, in the latest, we have that there's a 10 crore rupee legal notice against Air India after a passenger claims grievous injuries during travel. And after 7 delays, finally we have the new date, 25th of June, tomorrow. NASA and SpaceX's Axiom mission liftoff. All eyes on Indian astronaut Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla making history.
विमल में गुलिस्तां के ये कुछ लजीज फरिश्ते जब साथ घुले तो जी ललचाए और दिल कहे कि स्वाद की इस जुबान में खुद को ऐसा डुबाऊं कि निकल ना पाऊं। विमल की जुबान कुछ है ही ऐसी, मानते हैं ना? विमल, बोलो जुबां केसरी।
दादी के हाथों का जादू और खुशबू से महकता घर, माँ की मुस्कुराहट और खाने की सुगंध। MDH गरम मसाला,
क्योंकि हर रिश्ता है स्वाद से जुड़ा।
Excellencies, 2 days ago, in this very chamber, I made a direct appeal: give peace a chance. That call was not heeded. Instead, the bombing of Iranian nuclear facilities by the United States marks a perilous turn in a region that is already reeling. From the outset of the crisis, I have repeatedly condemned any military escalation in the Middle East. The people of the region cannot endure another cycle of destruction. And yet, we now risk descending into a rat hole of retaliation after retaliation. To avoid it, diplomacy must prevail. Civilians must be protected. Safe maritime navigation must be guaranteed. The Non-Proliferation Treaty is a cornerstone of international peace and security. Iran must fully respect it. And all member states must act in accordance with their obligations under the UN Charter and other rules of international law, including international humanitarian law.
For 40 years, the Iranian government has called for death to America and death to Israel, and posed a constant menace to the peace and security of its neighbors, the United States, and the entire world. U.S. military strikes targeted nuclear facilities in Fordo, Natanz, and Isfahan, with the aim of dismantling Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity and stopping the nuclear threat posed by the world's foremost state sponsor of terror. This operation sought to eliminate a long-standing but rapidly escalating source of global insecurity and to aid our ally Israel in our inherent right of collective self-defense, consistent with the UN Charter.
اطلعوا على السطوح ورا مليان ورا مليان
安理会对维护国际和平与安全负有首要责任，面对重大危机不能无所作为。俄罗斯、中国、巴基斯坦已经提出一项安理会决议草案，呼吁立即无条件停火，保护平民，遵守国际法，开展对话谈判。我们期待安理会成员展现责任担当，共同支持该决议草案，推动安理会为维护国际和平与安全履责尽职。
From Asia's largest news headquarters, setting the agenda for Bharat. You're watching Republic.
Good evening, viewers. This is Republic and you're watching Live and Breaking with me, Madhurima Mishra. Let's get started with the headlines. Ceasefire deal in Middle East collapses. Sirens sounded across northern Israel. Iran launches fresh missile attacks. Global embarrassment for Trump as truce deal between Iran and Israel falls apart after Trump claimed to successfully mediate. Devastation and chaos in Beersheba after Iranian strikes, at least 5 Israeli civilians killed. Iran denies missile strikes towards Israel, says Israel must accept its defeat and stop the aggression. Explosion heard at Taji military base in Iraq's Baghdad. No casualties reported. After 7-time delay, NASA and SpaceX announced June 25th as the new date for Aviation mission liftoff. Breaking news coming in, viewers, following President Donald Trump's decision to authorize airstrikes on 3 nuclear-related sites in Iran, Fordo, Isfahan and Natanz. State and local leaders across California have taken steps to monitor for potential threats. Protests have also erupted in Los Angeles in response to military action. California Governor Gavin Newsom also addressed a development, emphasizing that the state is staying alert in coordination with the national security agencies. So as you can see, viewers, right on your screens, protests erupting in Los Angeles in the backdrop of Donald Trump's statement over there. And as you can see, that people have poured out on the street expressing their concern in this connection. Remember viewers, California Governor Gavin Newsom has addressed development, emphasizing that the state is staying alert in coordination with national security agencies. Moving on, viewers, we have a statement coming in from the Chief of General Staff, who has confirmed that in response to ceasefire violation, the IDF will respond with full force. This comes after Iran violated ceasefire conditions and reportedly launched fresh barrage of missiles towards Israel's commercial capital, that is Tel Aviv. So now the IDF has made it abundantly clear that there is going to be a strong response to what Iran is doing. There's going to be a massive reactions to Iran's action. That has been made abundantly clear by the IDF chief. They're saying that there was a ceasefire, but Iran did not abide by it. And now they must be ready for any response that comes from the side of Israel.
במערב איראן זיהינו הבוקר הערכות למטח לשטח הארץ ופעלנו לסיכול ושיבוש האיום. תקפנו 8 משגרים שהיו מוכנים לשיגור בזמן מיידי. גם ברגעים אלו חיל האוויר משמר כוננות אווירית להסרת איומים ולפעולות התקפיות מהירות. לפני כניסת הפסקת האש לתוקף, הבוקר נורו כ-20 טילים מאיראן לאזורים שונים ברחבי הארץ. רובם יורטו. צוותי פיקוד העורף, כוחות ההצלה והביטחון, נמצאים כרגע בשטח ונותנים מענה באזורי הנפילות. לצערי, ישנם הרוגים ופצועים בזירת הנפילה בבאר שבע. חולצו מספר לכודים חיים. כוחות החילוץ של פיקוד העורף ממשיכים לסרוג בשטח.
Well, joining me live on this broadcast is my colleague Nick, who's reporting from Tel Aviv. Nick, what is the situation on the ground right now? Because IDF has made it abundantly clear that they are going to respond to Iran violating the ceasefire. Where do we go from here on?
It looks like Israel determined to respond, and also some officials telling to the Israeli media that the U.S. is backing Israel in their determination to respond to this violation of the ceasefire by Iran. But yet, I believe, this is my assumption, that Israel, even if will respond, it will be not too much of a response in order not to collapse the ceasefire, because Israel wants to conclude this war and they don't want it to continue. That's why maybe just Israel needs to show to the world and to the Middle East that they are doing something, because in the past we saw how it led from not responding to more and more barrages of rockets. Israel has a lot of experience with that when other terror organizations or countries trying to see what are the red lines of Israel, and that's why now Israel needs to show the red lines that they will not accept any more barrages of rockets towards Israeli cities. Back to you.
Absolutely, Nick. Thank you for speaking to us, Nick, and for giving that update to our viewers. Moving on, viewers, Iran has released images, it says, and shows, these images shows the wreckage of multiple Downer F-35 jets, likely Israeli ADR variants over there, and has claimed to have been destroyed during the retaliatory missile strike against Israeli military facilities. So those are the visuals over there, viewers, of the downed F-35, and the visuals, the video has been issued by the Iranian facilities. Joining us live on this broadcast is Mr. Benjamin, who's joining Benny Benjamin. He's a defense expert joining us live from Israel. Thank you for speaking to us, sir. Now, where there was talks of ceasefire, Israel has made it clear that there's a complete collapse of it. Iran did not abide by it. Iran says that they did not violate the ceasefire. Where do you see this escalation going forward from here on? Because Israel has made it clear that Tehran should be ready to tremble.
As per my opinion, Iran is behaving like his proxies, where they don't have, till the last day they will throw a last one and they will say, oh, we win the war. We are not interested in that. Iran must behave like a big country and respected country. Otherwise, we know how to answer them. It's very simple. It can't be. You're asking for ceasefire. We are giving you the ceasefire. And suddenly you're sending drones and missiles to Israel. It is not possible. What, you're playing games with us? And we are very trained people. If the IDF says we must be in the shelters, we are in shelters. So, you know what, they want to have casualties. I know the unnecessary people killed today in the morning after the ceasefire. And if they will not control themselves, we are having our planes on them all the time, and we will not have any problems to shoot them.
Absolutely. Mr. Benjamin, stay with us. We are getting some breaking news. Just stay with us. I'll come to you in a couple of seconds. Viewers, we're getting more breaking news as Qatar has formally now addressed the United Nations, sending a letter to Secretary General over there, and has also spoken about the missile attack by Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps on the Al Udeid air base over there in Qatar, condemned the attack as dangerous, escalation and violation of its sovereignty and territorial integrity. So Qatar has raised voice, viewers, where they have approached the United Nations and has said that the attack that took place on their air base yesterday is a violation of their territorial integrity. Let me go back to our guest, Mr. Benjamin over there. Sir, we are seeing as to how these countries who were condemning Israel now are also condemning the attack that had come from Iran. Where do you think the geopolitics equation moving from here on?
I'm really, sometimes you say, I have a smile in my heart. And this is the thing happening with Qatar. This is all well planned, to satisfy the Iranians. We shot it, American bases. All this is, we have been in that movie so many times, also in Hollywood and also in Bollywood. So all this, I don't believe, they must be really, as I said in the beginning, they must be a country with their respect. And if they don't have it, go on, no problem. We are a small country, but we know how to fight. And if they want ceasefire, we want ceasefire because we don't want wars. We are fed up of wars. We have enough wars. And you see my age, I have a lot of wars in this country, and we don't want any more wars. We are really fed up. Not only me, I'm talking about everybody. Each and every person in Israel had gone to the army. So we don't have any. We know what is the respect for the army. We know what is what happens when there is a war, and we know what happens in our houses when there is a war. So all this rubbish, we don't want to do it. If they want, they are really serious. Let them talk about ceasefire. We are in ceasefire. Don't fire us. We will not fire you.
Absolutely, absolutely. So wait, we are also getting, I request you to stay with us. We're getting more update here. Israeli Defense Minister has instructed the IDF to intensify strikes against Iran after ceasefire violation. The minister has said in the light of absolute violation of ceasefire declared by the US president, that was mediated by the US president, by Iran, and by launching the missile towards Israel. Now, in accordance with that, the Israeli government's policy is to respond forcefully to any violations. That's why he says, I quote, that They have instructed the IDF in the coordination with the Prime Minister to continue the intense strike activity in Tehran to neutralize the regime target and the terrorist infrastructure in Tehran. Sir, let me come across to you again, Mr. Benjamin. There you heard the IDF is very clear. Without any mincing words, they said that they have spoken to the government as well. All hands on deck, and their resolve is to target those terrorist infrastructure in Tehran.
I'm on the news, and yes, our defense minister said that we are doing ABC, but I don't think that they will try once again to talk about ceasefire before they do any attack, because attack to attack will not finish it. And I'm so sure that Israel will take a very deep breath and wait and try to do the ceasefire.
Absolutely, sir. Sir, my last question to you here is that where Donald Trump had really tried to mediate a ceasefire, he's made that attempt previously with multiple countries but has failed miserably a lot of times. Once again, where he goes on to tweet that you'll have to listen to me, I'm the United States of America's president over there. How do you see this moving forward? Because clearly nobody is listening to Donald Trump.
United States, they are a good friend of ours. They are in favor of our good for Israel. I don't think that they, whatever the president is doing is not doing in favor of us. But as I said once again, Iranians, they are not serious people. Qatar, they are all they are doing dramas, and I don't understand why Americans are not understanding these dramas. These dramas, we are here for 77 years. We have a lot of dramas of this. So if they really want to do the ceasefire, I think the table is empty. Come on the table, sit and do it.
Absolutely. So thank you for speaking to us. Thank you for speaking to Republic Media Network.
God bless India. God bless Israel.
Well, moving on, viewers, let's get you the gist of what's really happening amidst this escalation between Iran and Israel. Iran reportedly launched missiles at Israel early this morning, just hours after US President Donald Trump announced a ceasefire between the two countries. Trump's announcement that the ceasefire was in place came after a flurry of attacks between Iran and Israel. However, according to Iranian state media, Tehran denied any reports that it fired a missile at Israel after the ceasefire began. After Iran's attack on Israel's Beersheba this morning, 4 bodies have been recovered so far. The direct hit in the largest city of southern Israel comes just days after the city's hospital sustained significant damage in a missile strike. The search and rescue team said they retrieved 4 bodies from one of the buildings in Beersheba and were searching for more survivors trapped under the rubble. Tensions arise in Iraq after Saturday's US strikes on Iranian nuclear facilities, with Baghdad intensifying security measures in a green zone and a mass evacuation of US embassy personnel underway. The Iraqi security forces have deployed SWAT teams and armored vehicles in the green zone, particularly heavily in areas near US embassy. Temporary cordons were also established around the diplomatic premises, barring access of unauthorized personnel. The Director General of International Atomic Agency, Rafael Grossi, has asked for Iran to resume cooperation with the agency. He has reportedly written to Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi to propose a meeting which could lead to a diplomatic solution long-standing controversy over Tehran's nuclear program. Operation Sindu is in full swing. India evacuated 292 citizens from Iran and 366 national from Israel amid escalating tensions between the two countries. With the fresh batch of evacuees from Iran, India has brought back 2,295 Indians from West Asia so far. Breaking news coming in, viewers. Donald Trump, US President Donald Trump's first statement says Iran will never rebuild its nuclear program. Trump says Israel and Iran both violated the ceasefire. Now, Trump has asked about Israel-Iran truce, where he says, I don't think so. Trump said in a conversation with reporters before departure for NATO summit in The Hague that both Israel and Iran violated the ceasefire, noted that he is not pleased that Israel announced it would attack Iran after accepting the ceasefire. So there you have US President Donald Trump saying he is not pleased with the way Israel and Iran behaved, as to how both of them did not abide by the mediation that the United States said that it propelled between the two countries. This is the statement coming in from US President Donald Trump, and this is a very big statement coming in, viewers, because just a couple of hours after it was announced that there's going to be ceasefire between the two countries, we saw a barrage of missiles that were launched from the side of Iran towards southern Israel. There were sirens blazing all around southern Israel. There was an attack as well in the residential areas, which also claimed 5 civilian lives, to which the IDF chief had given a very strong statement that Tehran should be ready, and it should be ready to tremble, because they have spoken to their political top rung as well and are ready to attack. And now Trump's first statement, he is saying both Iran and Israel have violated the ceasefire. He is not pleased. And as far as Iran is concerned, he's saying that they do not have a nuclear program anymore. They will never be able to rebuild their nuclear program. That is what Donald Trump is saying. But remember, Iran had made it abundantly clear that there were no radiations, and what our sources from multiple platforms have apprised us is that there was a lot of commotion there at the Fordo site as they had anticipated this attack. Joining us live on this broadcast is our senior executive editor Abhishek Kapoor. Abhishek, Trump has finally spoken. He's saying he's not pleased, but the point here, the moot point is nobody is listening to Trump, no matter how much he tries.
See, he's not pleased, and he shouldn't be pleased, because he has this bad habit of jumping the gun. Also, in this instance, like in the case of Operation Sindu, he seems to be more hungry, coming out as more hungry for credit than actual substance on the ground. The proof of which is that we are as yet to see any evidence of a ceasefire actualizing between Iran and Israel on the ground. There has been a sustained volley of missiles from both the sides. The kind of standoff, military and kinetic engagement that we have seen over the last few days, a rollover of that continues. And Trump, because it seems that he has started believing in this fanciful idea that somebody planted in his mind that he's the man who should get the Nobel Peace Prize, just like Barack Obama did. And he perhaps believes strongly that he has done more than Barack Obama. So irrespective of whether things are actually happening on the ground, he's sort of trying to corner credit even before events happen. So in the case of India, the fact that the ceasefire happened essentially because Pakistan cried uncle, and it used the good offices of its American contacts to prevail upon India, which India obviously obliged. That does not mean that he was mediating. There is not a single phone call that happened between President Trump and Prime Minister Modi at any stage, or for that matter, President Trump and Asim Munir, at least during that period of India-Pak standoff. And for him to go ahead and take credit that, okay, fine, he got he was indulging in information arbitrage just because the Americans were involved in some kind of back-channel dialogue, just as the Saudis were involved, just as the Iranians were involved, just as the Emiratis were involved. And he sort of, jumped the gun and took credit. So it seems in this case also, Donald Trump indulging in typical information arbitrage and having a bit of an egg on his face because both the sides, more so Israel, are not listening to him, and the two sides are continuing with their missile volleys. So it's a lesson for Trump. If I don't know whether he would be interested, the American president. If he's not drawing the lessons, maybe he would be repeating them. But this admission, clearly a case of Donald Trump realizing that not everyone does what they tell him that they are going to do.
Absolutely. Abhishek, remember that early in the morning he also tweeted after just a couple of hours after when he announced that there is a ceasefire, he goes on to tweet that you'll have to listen to me. I am the President of the United States. What kind of statement is that? Abhishek. Okay, viewers, so this is the big breaking news coming in. We'll try and connect again with our executive editor over there. But Trump has made this statement where he has gone ahead and said that Iran will never rebuild its nuclear program. He said that he is not pleased with the way Israel and Iran have behaved. Also, he added that both Israel and Iran violated ceasefire. And this came after he was the first person to announce as to that there has been a ceasefire before the both countries could come forward and express. Global embarrassment for US President Donald Trump as just a couple of hours after announcing ceasefire, both Iran and Israel violated. Explosions heard at Taji military base in Iraq's Baghdad. No casualties reported. We'll get you more on this, but right after a very short break.
विमल में गुलिस्तां के ये कुछ लजीज फरिश्ते जब साथ गुलें तो जी ललचाए और दिल कहे कि स्वाद की जुबान में खुद को ऐसे डुबाऊं कि निकल ना पाऊं। विमल की जुबान कुछ है ही ऐसी, मानते हैं? विमल, बोलो जुबान कैसी?
ये है सीक्रेट रेसिपी MDH का जीरा सिप जल जीरा मसाला। सिप सिप जीरा सिप MDH का जल जीरा सिप MDH का जल जीरा सिप।
لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله Southwest coming from the direction of Al-Udaid. Windows are shaking. لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله. Probably Patriot.
الله أكبر. مدام
لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله.
इसको घर पे लगाओगे तो शादी का तो पता नहीं, पर घर पक्का नहीं टूटेगा।
रुंगटा नहीं तो घर स्ट्रॉन्ग नहीं। रुंगटा स्टील TMT बार एकदम सॉलिड।
पहाड़ों में एक हाइकिंग स्टिक भी बन सकती है।
MDH की देगी मिर्च,
देगी मिर्च का तड़का, अंग अंग फड़का।
MDH की देगी मिर्च।
Excellencies, 2 days ago, in this very chamber, I made a direct appeal: give peace a chance. That call was not heeded. Instead, the bombing of Iranian nuclear facilities by the United States marks a perilous turn in a region that is already reeling. From the outset of the crisis, I have repeatedly condemned any military escalation in the Middle East. The people of the region cannot endure another cycle of destruction. And yet, we now risk descending into a rat hole of retaliation after retaliation. To avoid it, diplomacy must prevail. Civilians must be protected. Safe maritime navigation must be guaranteed. The Non-Proliferation Treaty is a cornerstone of international peace and security. Iran must fully respect it. And all member states must act in accordance with their obligations under the UN Charter and other rules of international law, including international humanitarian law.
For 40 years, the Iranian government has called for death to America and death to Israel, and posed a constant menace to the peace and security of its neighbors, the United States, and the entire world. U.S. military strikes targeted nuclear facilities in Fordo, Natanz, and Isfahan, with the aim of dismantling Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity and stopping the nuclear threat posed by
In all fairness, Israel unloaded a lot, and now I hear Israel just went out because they felt it was violated by one rocket that didn't land anywhere. That's not what we want, I'll tell you, and I'm telling you, I'm not happy about that, Israel, either. All I do is play both sides. I'm going now, as you know, to NATO. Some of you are going with me, and I think it's going to be successful. We'll see. I'll let you know.
Are you going to see the agreement? It's a new dawn in the Middle East. Thanks to the agreement you managed to achieve. What are your future plans for the region, for Saudi Arabia, Israel, Gaza, the hostages?
Look, you're asking me about women in the Middle East. It's getting a lot better. Things are happening at a high level. As you know, Saudi Arabia has done a really good job. It's coming out far faster than I thought. So we're very happy about what's happening with women in the Middle East.
No, I'm talking about a new dawn in the Middle East that you managed to achieve last night.
Yeah.
The region is going to a new place with this agreement. Can you tell us what's your future plans for Gaza, for the hostages?
It's a new dawn. I appreciate the question. You're very nice. Who are you?
Thank you. I'm Neria Kraus from Israeli Channel 13 News.
Well, we have to have Israel calm down because they went on a mission this morning. I got to get Israel to calm down now.
Did you get to speak with the Prime Minister? Did you talk to Prime Minister Netanyahu last night?
I speak to everybody.
You urge both sides not to violate the ceasefire, but reports coming from the region suggest that the sides accuse each other for violating the ceasefire. So
I think they both violated it. I don't think I'm not sure they did it intentionally. They couldn't rein people back. I don't like the fact that Israel went out this morning at all, and I'm going to see if I can stop it. So as soon as I get away from you, I'm going to see if I can stop it, okay?
Have you spoken to him this morning? How confident are you that Iran is going to take the completely demolished?
I think it's been completely demolished. I think the reason we're here is because those pilots, those B-2 pilots, did an unbelievable job. And you know, the fake news, like CNN in particular, they're trying to say, well, I agree that it was destroyed, but maybe not that destroyed. You know what they're doing? They're really hurting great pilots that put their lives in the line. CNN is scum, and so is MSDNC. They're all, and frankly, the networks aren't much better. It's all fake news, but they should not have done that. Those pilots hit their targets. Those targets were obliterated, and the pilots should be given credit. They're not after the pilots, they're after me. They want to try and demean.
You don't believe that Iran can rebuild its nuclear program?
Iran will never rebuild its nuclear. From there? Absolutely not. That place is under rock. That place is demolished. The B-2 pilots did their job. They did it better than anybody could even imagine. They hit late in the evening. It was dark with no moon, and they hit that target with every one of those things, and that place is gone. But when I see CNN all night long, they're trying to say, well, maybe it wasn't really as demolished as we thought. It was demolished. You take a look at the pinpricks, and you see that place is gone. And I will say, I think CNN ought to apologize to the pilots of the B-2s. I think that MSDNC ought to apologize. I think these guys really, these networks and these cable networks are real losers. You really are. You're real losers.
Israel says that they violated the peace.
You're gutless losers. I say that to CNN because I watch it. I have no choice. I got to watch that garbage. It's all garbage. It's all fake news. But I think CNN is a gutless group of people. And the people that run it, nobody even knows it's been sold so many times. But the people that run it ought to be ashamed. MSDNC, a guy named Brian Roberts, he heads it. He's a disgrace. He's a weak, pathetic disgrace.
Israel says that Iran violated the peace agreement and the ceasefire agreement. Do you believe that Iran is still committed to peace?
Yeah, I do. They violated it, but Israel violated it too.
Are you questioning if Israel is committed?
Israel, as soon as we made the deal, they came out and they dropped a load of bombs, the likes of which I've never seen before. The biggest load that we've seen. I'm not happy with Israel. You know, when I say, okay, now you have 12 hours, you don't go out in the first hour and just drop everything you have on them. So I'm not happy with them. I'm not happy with Iran either. But I'm really unhappy if Israel's going out this morning because of one rocket that didn't land, that was shot, perhaps by mistake, that didn't land. I'm not happy about that. You know what? We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Do you understand that?
Do you have to respond to Iran?
So there you heard US President Donald Trump there in conversation with the reporters before his departure to NATO summit, and clearly very irked by the violation of the ceasefire. He said that both Israel and Iran violated the ceasefire, noted that he is not pleased that Israel announced that it would attack Iran after accepting the ceasefire. And most importantly, this was the first statement after the global embarrassment on Iran-Israel ceasefire. In fact, remember, he is the one who declared that there would be a ceasefire. And after that, we saw how Iran fired missiles at Israel. Several buildings were damaged. 4 people have lost their life. IDF has claimed that ceasefire has been violated by Iran. Iran has, on the other hand, denied the claims that have come in from Israel. But Trump there, you can see he's leaving for the NATO summit, and he has said that he's not happy with both Iran as well as Israel, as both of them have violated the ceasefire. But most importantly, he said, and he has given a message to Israel, do not bomb Iran. If you bomb, it will be a serious violation of the ceasefire. Bring the pilots back home. Now, he said that he's not happy with Israel and Iran, before also adding that he's really, really unhappy with Israel. So this is as far as the conflict is concerned. He also went on to say that I'm going to see if I can stop it. So he's still going to try and convince the leaders of these two nations to stop the war. And but most importantly, he looked very agitated and irked after the violation of the ceasefire. There you can see on the screen Donald Trump leaving for the NATO summit, and before that he spoke to the reporters there, giving a clear message to Iran and Israel that they must stop the bombing. Have a look again at what he said.
ceasefire breaking in fact?
I don't think so, but I'm not happy that Israel's going out now. There was one rocket that I guess was fired overboard. It was after the time limit, and it missed its target. And now Israel's going out. These guys got to calm down. Ridiculous.
How will you respond if the ceasefire is violated?
I didn't like plenty of things I saw yesterday. I didn't like the fact that Israel unloaded right after we made the deal. They didn't have to unload. And I didn't like the fact that the retaliation was very strong. But in all fairness, Israel unloaded a lot. And now I hear Israel just went out because they felt it was violated by one rocket that didn't land anywhere. That's not what we want, I'll tell you. And I'm telling you, I'm not happy about that, Israel, either. All I do is play both sides. I'm going now, as you know, to NATO. Some of you are going with me, and I think it's going to be successful. We'll see. I'll let you know.
Are you going to see the agreement? It's a new dawn in the Middle East, thanks to the agreement you managed to achieve. What are your future plans for the region, for Saudi Arabia, Israel, Gaza, the hostages?
Look, you're asking me about women in the Middle East. It's getting a lot better. Things are happening at a high level. As you know, Saudi Arabia's done a really good job. It's coming out far faster than I thought. So we're very happy about what's happening with women in the Middle East.
No, I'm talking about a new dawn in the Middle East that you managed to achieve last night.
Yeah.
The region is going to a new place with this agreement. Can you tell us what's your future plans for Gaza, for the hostages?
Yeah. It's a new dawn. I appreciate the question. You're very nice. Who are you?
Thank you. I'm Neria Kraus from Israeli Channel 13 News.
Well, we have to have Israel calm down because they went on a mission this morning. I got to get Israel to calm down now.
Did you get to speak with the Prime Minister? Did you talk to Prime Minister Netanyahu last night?
I speak to everybody.
You urge both sides not to violate the ceasefire, but reports coming from the region suggest that the sides accuse each other for violating the ceasefire. So
I think they both violated it. I don't think I'm not sure they did it intentionally. They couldn't rein people back. I don't like the fact that Israel went out this morning at all, and I'm going to see if I can stop it. So as soon as I get away from you, I'm going to see if I can stop it, okay?
Have you spoken to him this morning? How confident are you that Iran is capable of completely demolished?
I think it's been completely demolished. I think the reason we're here is because those pilots, those B-2 pilots, did an unbelievable job. And the fake news, like CNN in particular, they're trying to say, well, I agree that it was destroyed, but maybe not that destroyed. You know what they're doing? They're really hurting great pilots that put their lives in the line. CNN is scum, and so is MSDNC. They're all, and frankly, the networks aren't much better. It's all fake news, but they should not have done that. Those pilots hit their targets. Those targets were obliterated, and the pilots should be given credit. They're not after the pilots; they're after me. They want to try and demean.
You don't believe that Iran can rebuild its nuclear program?
No, Iran will never rebuild its nuclear. From there, absolutely not. That place is under rock. That place is demolished. The B-2 pilots did their job. They did it better than anybody could even imagine. They hit late in the evening. It was dark with no moon, and they hit that target with every one of those things, and that place is gone. But when I see CNN all night long, they're trying to say, well, maybe it wasn't really as demolished as we thought. It was demolished. You take a look at the pinpricks, and you see that place is gone. And I will say, I think CNN ought to apologize to the pilots of the B-2s. I think that MSDNC ought to apologize. I think these guys really, these networks and these cable networks are real losers. You really are. You're real losers.
Israel says that they violated the peace.
You're gutless losers. I say that to CNN because I watch it. I have no choice. I got to watch that garbage. It's all garbage. It's all fake news. But I think CNN is a gutless group of people. And the people that run it, nobody even knows it's been sold so many times. But the people that run it ought to be ashamed. MSDNC, a guy named Brian Roberts, he heads it. He's a disgrace. He's a weak, pathetic disgrace.
Israel says that Iran violated the peace agreement, the ceasefire agreement. Do you believe that Iran is still committed to peace?
Yeah, I do. They violated it, but Israel violated it too.
Are you questioning if Israel is committed?
Israel, as soon as we made the deal, they came out and they dropped a load of bombs, the likes of which I'd never seen before. The biggest load that we've seen. I'm not happy with Israel. You know, when I say, okay, now you have 12 hours, you don't go out in the first hour and just drop everything you have on them. So I'm not happy with them. I'm not happy with Iran either. But I'm really unhappy if Israel's going out this morning because of one rocket that didn't land, that was shot, perhaps by mistake, that didn't land. I'm not happy about that. You know what? We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Do you understand that?
So you just heard Donald Trump there. On one hand, Israeli Defense Forces are saying that Iran has targeted them. Iran has denied it. Donald Trump right there saying that he's very angry with both the nations and will try and speak to them again. In fact, I'm joined by Akiva Spelgaman, who is the Media International Affairs consultant. Thank you so much for speaking to Republic TV. I want to ask you, Donald Trump there is saying that, he announced the ceasefire. After that, both the nations are not abiding by it. He's clearly very irked with this, and that is quite visible by the way he's speaking to the reporters right there. Would you agree?
I agree. I think President Trump needs a reminder that Israel is not yet a 51st state. And this morning, 4 innocent civilians were killed during a bombarding that lasted about 2 hours from Iran. This is after a ceasefire was called. And so Israel has to react when its citizens are being shot down in that fashion. President Trump is entitled to his opinion, but Israel will continue to defend its people as best it can.
Absolutely. But would you agree that this is a big global embarrassment for Donald Trump, because he did the same during India and Pakistan conflict as well? That was a very premature announcement that he had made. And now, at the same time, Iran and Israel, he has made the announcement. Both the nations are not abiding by it. He's saying that he's very angry. Many are saying that this is a global embarrassment for him. Would you agree?
I don't think it's an embarrassment. I think the ceasefire, which probably deserves a lot of recognition for, and we appreciate the work he's done, I don't think it's embarrassment, because Iran has been threatening Israel and the United States for years. It's been shooting ballistic missiles towards the country for the past year, on and off. This morning, again, it shot a bunch of rounds, which it described as ending round, but they are the first ones who broke the ceasefire. And so I don't think it's an embarrassment. If he wants to be angry at somebody, I think he should point a finger towards Iran, a terrorist-led country, and mostly leadership that has no will to put down its arms.
Absolutely. And now he has said that he will go and speak to both of these nations after he's done speaking with the reporters there. Do you think, I want to understand from your assessment, do you think now US will be able to broker a deal between the two nations?
I'm not sure. I don't know if a deal is anywhere to be seen. I think Iran and Israel still have their differences. I think Iran is not putting out a olive branch, and we need to take that into account. They're not going to cease their actions. They're not going to stop threatening, and they're going to keep on, if they can, create atomic bombs, whether we can monitor it or not. And so, if they're willing to pronounce that they're unwilling to continue with their previous ways, then there's a conversation. Without that, there's nowhere to go.
Absolutely. I'm also joined by Vinay Naidu, who's the senior journalist from Doha. Thank you so much for speaking to Republic TV. How do you see this banter as far as ceasefire is concerned? Donald Trump said that there would be a ceasefire. Iran is saying that it did not attack Israel. Israel saying that they have detected missiles coming towards their territory. So a lot of chaos and a lot of confusion as far as the ceasefire is concerned. How would you assess that?